fellas. A lot to address tonight, a lot to establish. I want to go to Pastor Rodney Evans first. We haven't heard from you in a while, seen you in a while. What's been going on? Fill us in. What are you directing your focus towards?
Well, Sunday's a big Sunday for us, so we're getting everything ready for our Sunday service. So I'm working on that, doing some work around the church, doing a little bit of remodeling, all that fun stuff, getting ready for, like I said, for Sunday, get some stuff planned for the kids. So exciting things. Also still dealing with issues with my mom and dad, trying to take care of them. Just been kind of busy. My wife's looking for a new job, so she's got some interviews coming up tomorrow and next week. So hopefully she'll find something. We're hoping she'll work remotely so we can do a little more camping during the week and just have some fun time together. So just a lot of stuff going on, some good stuff.
No,
and then trying to,
what were you saying? Sorry.
Then listen to the news, but trying to pull away from the news and rest your mind and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and are your parents going to be okay? Is everything squared away in that department?
Mom's doing better. That's the big issue here lately. So We've got her on some stuff, and it's really helping Dad. Her and Dad spending the weekend by themselves this weekend. First time they've done that since about a year.
Oh wow!
So they're doing better. So that's a good thing. It's taking some pressure off. But some of the reason Teresa's going to hopefully work remotely so we can go up there a little more during the week and give my sister a break. But
right.
They're doing better. Things are progressing in the right direction. So I'm happy about that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'll pray for them, and I'll keep them in my thoughts. And you know how much I love you, and you're one of the most genuine, authentic dudes I know. So, I'm my heart is with you and your family. I also want to mention the big news out of North Carolina today. The woman that was a Democrat, switched parties, is now a member of the GOP. You read that. You have some thoughts on that. I want to hear your take.
Well, there's a couple of things there. It gives them the supermajority now, so they can override any veto from the governor, which is a good thing. They just overrode his veto on another legislation thing here last week, where used to you had to go into the sheriff and get a background check to go get a handgun. That has been overturned now. Now you can straight go to the gun store. They do the background check there, and you can get your handgun there if you want to, so you don't have to go through the sheriff's office, which in Mecklenburg County, they would hold it up for months, almost a year, to allow you to get a handgun. My thing is on the lady that switched parties. I have a mix on that somewhat. And the reason I do is she is around the outside or in the Charlotte area some, and they usually vote Democrat completely down the line, and her switching parties could hurt that in her next election. I don't know if people will vote for her or not. So that she could have maybe stayed a Democrat, still give them majority and overrode vetoes and that stuff, and been easy to be elected next time. But we'll have to see. Maybe she knows more insight than we do.
Interesting. And do you think her heart's in the right place? Do you think she's a genuine person?
We'll have to see, because she did run a lot on pushing a little bit more of the liberal agenda, but she said that she has been pushed around too much by the Democrats and them coming against her on a lot of different things, and she just got tired of it, and she voted more with the Republicans. So we'll have to see.
It's very interesting. Blaine, I want to check in with you. We haven't heard from you in about a week. It's good to see you.
It's great to be here. I've got relatives in from out of town, so I do have a hard stop tonight at 9, but to do some family stuff. But everything else is going real good. Next week, I am off to Ranger School at Fort Benning.
Wow.
I'm attending the Best Ranger competition as a member of the media. I'm doing some research for some books I'm working on, and so that's going to be fun for me next week to go hang out as a member of the media.
That was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to like our post, and I can't get to it right now. That was me. I'm sorry.
As you were saying, Blaine?
Is Rory locked up, or is it me?
No, as you were saying.
Yeah, I'm going on to Ranger School next week. It's going to be a blast. I'm doing it for research for books. They're assigning a ranger to me for the week, and I get to go out, watch these guys train, and I get to watch Best Ranger competition, which is one of the coolest competitions that we have in the country.
Now explain that to us. How, like, what does that kind of entail? Like, what is the curriculum there? Like what do they have you do? What are your duties? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm going to be getting into that a lot. I'm actually going out with a ranger team to watch them do some heavy weapons training. But a lot of what I'm going to be doing is spending time at the Best Ranger competition to watch that. It's really a special competition. And of all the sporting events that are on the air, you would think this would be one that would get a lot more airtime than it does.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And it's pretty intense, isn't it? The training process.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: for members of the press, we have to be there at 0500 the day of the competition because they kick off at 0600, and we have to go with them on everything. So it's going to be a blast.
Wow. Blaine, you weren't on the show yesterday. I wanted to ask you. We had a big discussion about it, but your whole thoughts on the circus that went on in New York yesterday.
I'm sure I'm not adding to the diatribe on this. When all is said and done, it's not. This was a big nothing burger. Even on CNN, I was watching this morning. They were commenting that they had really hoped there would be some meat to this, and there really wasn't. When CNN starts saying there's not a lot there, I think that makes a powerful statement. This was a lot of nothing. I thought Trump's opening remark on his commentary back last night was very good. How this is affecting his family, how it affects his wife and his child, and things along those lines. I wish he had just kind of cut it short and said, his points and walked away. He did his usual Donald Trump and kept going. There's times he needs to just kind of let it go. And I get it. They've made this a very personal attack, and they're trying to put the guy in jail. I mean, if you think about it, how would any of us feel if somebody was coming after us and trying to basically throw us in prison for 100 years, and we haven't done anything wrong? How would you feel about that? And I think this is an incredibly thin case. I think a lot of it's just going to be dismissed outright. Right. I really do.
And you brought up his speech last night. I thought he was right on par. I thought he was, perfectly, just put together. He put it all on the table. And he was very just, straight. He was just on his game. You couldn't have asked for anything better. I think it was probably one of his best speeches that we've seen in a long time.
Rory's back on the Trump train. He's off the A24. He's back on Trump.
Was brilliant.
What were you saying, Blaine?
Yeah, well, his tone was perfect from a standpoint that he said, "Look, if they can do this to me, they can do this to you."
Right.
And the only thing preventing them from doing it to you is me. And that is a powerful message. And I think if he just sticks to that over and over, I think it's going to resonate with people.
And he was very, very polished last night. I was expecting him to come out in a more maybe aggressive manner or a more hostile way, more angry. But the guy was very laid back, very like it didn't even seem like anything was bothering him. He obviously, nobody's happy about getting charged with these worthless petty crimes, but the way he handles it, he ignores the noise so well. The way he can show no emotion in a lot of scenarios, I think is quite a skill that not enough people understand. It's quite the skill.
Yeah.
Blaine, you want to respond to that?
Might be connection problems, Rory.
Oh, we're having connection.
No, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Rodney, you saw. Did you see the speech? I know you were supposed to be on last night, but I know you passed out early.
I did. I mean, I get up very early in the morning, and some of that will change with the new job Teresa will get. So I'll be able to stay up later and get up a little later.
Right.
I did. I thought he'd done a good job. My thing is with Trump right now, I do want him, and I think he'll gain more voters if he just acts more presidential. And yes, a little bit more polished. I thought he done good. I mean, I personally would have been probably a little bit more aggravated and mad on these issues. I'm with Blaine on this. I listen to a lot of the mainstream media, and most of them are saying there's nothing there. There is nothing there.
Even Democrats are saying there's nothing there.
Well, I even saw Jeb Bush came out and said this is a bunch of junk.
And even John Bolton, who hates Trump, said there's nothing here. He says it. Even Bolton said something. And it was like something like this: like as much as I hate Trump, as much as I want him to go down, this is not it. This case is not it. Nothing is going to come of this.
Well, they're saying back in 2016, 2017, but when Trump took office in 2017, correct? He had already put.
Yeah, 17 he took office. Yeah, you're right.
He put everything over in it. Yeah. He had put everything over to a trust already. He didn't have any dealings in a sense with his businesses at that point. So with what I've heard lawyers say, I'm not a lawyer, is statute of limitation has already ran out.
Right.
Even if there was anything there, but he has a letter from Stormy Daniels saying there was nothing there that occurred. Also, during the time all this was going on, I thought it was kind of funny that he was awarded $128,000 more in legal fees.
Yeah, and Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer from jail, has even made a statement saying this is going to go nowhere. This case is a joke. And he said you cannot rely on Cohen and Daniels' testimony because it's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. So, you got Avenatti, the guy that really hates Trump, saying from jail.
There's a credible source. You can't rely on those people.
No, but think about it. I mean, Avenatti saying that there's nothing there. I mean, that's a statement right there.
I know, but I'm saying Avenatti.
He's the type of guy that would come. I mean, I do appreciate the honesty from Avenatti in that sense that he said there's nothing there, because as much as he hates Trump and he wants Trump to go down, he basically is saying it like it is. He's not going to go down for this.
He wants Trump to pardon him in 2024.
It takes one to know one. It takes one to know one. Like, it takes a liar to know one, a liar. So, I mean, he has credibility in that.
What do you mean by that?
Avenatti, he's saying you can't, this thing is not, there's like nonsense, nothing come of it. You can't trust.
But remember, his ultimate mission was to take down Trump. So, I mean.
Right. But my point is, so he knows what it's like to be a complete fraud, to have such nonsense, to be a liar, to go to jail. So he recognizes these people in the Alvin Bragg clan and all the people over there against Trump, because he's one of them. He was one of them. So he recognizes himself in these people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, could we see down the road potentially people like Alvin Bragg being held accountable for their actions?
No.
Never.
Not. I mean, in Bizarro world, yeah. In another alternate universe.
I know you guys are laughing, but what if Trump gets back in there and cleans house and really opens up investigations into these various departments that have been behind so many wrongdoings with these criminal investigations and indictments?
It's not going to take Trump. I mean, there's an article today.
He could have his DOJ do some work.
But it doesn't take Trump. It's already happening, Roy. My point is, it's already happening. I mean, Representative Comer has just said that he's gotten a couple of calls.
That's different. You're talking about the House. I mean, these people.
No. It's about, my point is they've opened up a can of worms. My point is it's happening because now these county attorney generals want to come down on the Bidens, and they're calling them and saying, what do we need to do to get the Bidens now? They want to know how they can go after the Bidens. So it's already happening. So, hey, you want to play that, Alvin Bragg? Now we got prosecutors all over the country, in Tennessee and in Kentucky specifically, saying, hey, what can we do to get the Bidens now? Hey, you want to play that? So my point is, it's happening. And under Trump, let's hope that, when Trump said lock her up, that this time he might actually lock her up.
Rory, Bragg's already committed a felony, apparently, his office, by leaking the indictments, the 34 counts prior to it. It's just a matter of, how can he be criminally prosecuted? A lot of people said that Trump's lawyers should have went into the FBI office yesterday afternoon and laid it all out, what they thought was happening with the Manhattan DA and how they were violating all kinds of laws. Now, of course, you and I know that's not going to happen, but it's a real shame. It's a dark day, and it's going to be a dark week in American history when we have the arrest of the leading candidate for the Republican Party in 2024. Now we cannot preach to other nations and say, how great of a nation, we're this beacon of light, when we're arresting the political opposition. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, like I've always said, China, Russia, they got nothing on us.
Well, where is the Clinton's foundation at? Is it in Arkansas?
Oh, it's probably
it's in Haiti.
No, I'm saying
it's on a Chappaqua.
Couldn't now Arkansas launch an investigation into the Clintons on their foundation and all that stuff? Because
I think that foundation is based on that island that Jeffrey Epstein's.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of this whole Jeffrey Epstein scenario, I mean, this guy's protected at every cost. I mean, we're never going to see those names and all these politicians that are compromised and
Bill Gates.
Yeah, I mean,
he was on the plane. Many times.
We're talking what? What has it been? 3 years since Jeffrey Epstein died?
Yes.
Nah, who cares?
And what kind of legitimate transparency have we received since then?
FBI's compromised to the core. That's what we know.
I don't know, man. It's not like a fire. I get it. There's room for conspiracies, but it's not a stretch for a guy that's lived in lavish apartments as a multimillionaire. He's banging whores all over the world on his on his yachts and in his islands and everything else. Got the world by the short hairs, and he's going to be going to prison facing Jethro and Leroy. That a guy like that would say, I'm going to end it. It's not a big stretch for me to think, okay, guys lived his life in the lap of luxury and doing whatever he wants and getting away with it. He's now going to go to jail, and his roommate is not going to be so pretty as the 16-year-old girls he's used to. He's going to end it. Not a big stretch to think that he would hang himself.
I mean, you actually really think he's dead?
Yeah, obviously, I 100% know he's dead. Yeah, 100%.
How do you know 100%?
Because I'm not an idiot.
Think?
What, Matthew?
What does George Santos think? That's the more important thing.
Well,
who had the exclusive with him? I think he's right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, that interview when I had with George Santos, it was in every freaking newspaper, New York Times, Washington Post, Fox News, CNN. It was even international. When those articles came out a few months ago about my interview with George Santos from back in 2020, I mean, the fact that they went back and looked that far back, that's funny. That is funny.
The Epstein thing, Rory, you got to remember the cameras were conveniently turned off when this apparent suicide happened. So there's still a lot of questions about the correctional operation there, the prisons in New York. We'll never know, but obviously he had enough damaging evidence on so many people that he was never going to see the light of day. But he could have killed himself too. Who knows?
Just imagine the kind of evidence, imagine the kind of videos, imagine the documentation that this guy had. And you have to think, do you not think that he had somebody else with access to this stuff and he told that it, this other party or whoever.
Well, he did.
If something happens to me, release it and make sure these people
He
pay
has.
a price.
He's got Giswell. I mean, look, if it's all out there, she's got it.
What?
Maxine Giswell or whatever her name is.
Giswell, you're talking about? Whoa, dude, it's Ghislaine Maxwell. Giswell.
Whatever. I don't know what.
That's great, man. That's like
there you go, Greg. 6'9".
That's like an adult film star. Jizz. What'd you say again?
I don't know what her name is. Maxine Giswell, I thought, or something like that.
Giswell.
Rory, at the end of the day,
sounds like a porn star. Sounds like a MILF porn star. Mrs. Giswell.
I think.
Well, whatever her name is, she was like his right hand gal, and so if it's out there, she's got it, But
there has to be more than just her that has it. Is my point.
Like the Israeli Secret Service, CIA. Yeah, there's other people that have that.
You know who else could probably get access to it? I mean, if he really tried, and maybe this is another reason they locked him up. Julian Assange. He can hack anything. That guy can do anything. So what if he could have got?
This reminds me of this whole. You guys probably remember this. Remember Heidi Fleiss, the
madam from Hollywood.
The Washington. Was she Washington madam? What is she?
She
DC?
Her little book was made public, and Chuck Schumer's name is in it. He was a regular client of Heidi Fleiss. That's been well known for years. That even if you expose
these were adults,
people,
These were adult prostitutes.
Yes,
Blaine. That is so unreported. That's the first I heard of it. That's how unreported it is.
Dude,
I never heard of that
about
either.
That, Greg. I'm shocked you didn't know about Heidi Fleiss, and she was like the lead.
No, I know her. I know 100% about her. I didn't know that Schumer was a regular.
Oh, there's politicians. There's
in her little book. He was a client. Now, does that mean he had sex? I don't know.
That's what it means, Blaine.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
But the disclaimer portion you throw in there. But this sort of thing
gratuitous. It's just gratuitous. You don't have a relationship with a madame who's like peddles in whores just to have friends. Yeah, I used to like a dinner date, just have good conversation. No, it's for sex. Make no mistake.
It doesn't matter because it never sticks to these guys. It never sticks to them. Even if their name's on the list, even if there's a picture of them on the island, it doesn't stick. These guys dodge this stuff. And this is part of the DC problem right now is there is no level of accountability.
But all of them, though, that's an equal opportunity offense right there. I mean, Republicans and Democrats alike, both of them get all scot-free.
Yeah.
But don't you
Unless
think
they want to target you for some other reason. If they want to target you, they'll get you. As like Joseph Stalin said, you show me a person, I'll show you the crime.
Don't you think that's with Trump being indicted on this stuff is showing the world even more, and especially people in America, more of the two-tier thing that's going on?
Well, there's always been a two-tier justice. But I'll say this. I said for years, since 2016, that the left wanted Trump to be the nominee so Hillary could spank him. But I just read today that there is this conjecture that they're doing this to Trump because they want to. Of course, I don't believe it. They want to increase his popularity. They want him to be the nominee because they think that Joe Biden will beat him. And if that is the case, you talk about like a dog returns to his vomit, so doth the fool to his folly. So if the Democrats are going to make the same mistake twice, because remember, they made him the nominee, or if you believe that, which I do, made him the nominee in 2016, and he's crushed their dreams when he beat Hillary Clinton. Let them make him the nominee again and watch what happens, and then crush their dreams again in 2024. It could happen, but you would think that they would have learned their lesson from 2016 and not want to repeat it. But you know what? The dog goes back to his vomit every time.
I term this, if that's their plan, all they're doing is setting up the whole movie of Rocky 2. Because that's what this is going to be again. It's a second round match. And it's going to get uglier and it's going to be vicious. And I think this time Biden is on shaky ground because America now knows exactly what they're dealing with him.
There's a wild card going on.
Blaine,
Rory's going to break it with Kennedy. Robert Kennedy
Jr. announced today he's running.
Yep, that's the wild
Blaine,
card.
let me add to this, Blaine, because back in 2020, I actually wrote it was more like Tyson Holyfield 2. That's what it's more like. Tyson Holyfield. Because you remember when Tyson got beat the first, he was mad, boy. He was mad. And, Tyson beat him up, did whatever. But he was – and the second one, he was getting beat. He was going back into the same old thing all over again. Here's Holyfield, elbow and everything. And he got so mad, he bit the guy's thinking ear off. So that's what I see. It's like Holyfield Tyson too. If Trump wins again, you talk about anger. You talk about fury. Mike Tyson was enraged. He was like the devil incarnate because he did not like getting beat and reliving the nightmare of the first fight. It will be like Holyfield Tyson 2 if Trump regains the White House. They will be stark raving mad. They will, if they could, do the political equivalent of bite the guy's ear off.
And Matthew, Rodney, you want to say something, Pastor?
Yeah, you've got to, is it anywhere from $6 to $10 million Trump's raised since all this happened?
8 million to be exact.
8 million. Well, they're reporting most of that is from new donors.
25% first-time donors.
That's amazing.
Not most of it, but 25%. That's significant. I mean, you're talking about $2 million from first-time donors. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, we brought up the fact that Robert Kennedy Jr. announced his candidacy today for president for 2024, challenging Joe Biden in the Democratic Party. I want to get everybody's thoughts because this is very interesting. The Kennedy name is very powerful. It goes back many, many years. Blaine, I'm going to start with you.
We're still early in the game. I think that they're going to stick with what they already have in office. It's very hard to break with your candidate who's sitting in the presidential Oval Office, because to do that, you basically have to start saying he did a bunch of things wrong.
Right.
He isn't taking us in the right direction, but this new guy is going to. So they're going to have to throw Joe Biden under the bus to do that. And I don't think they're prepared to do it. I think there are elements of his party that want to, but they're so desperate to hold on to the power because they know if they don't hold on to it and the Republicans get it, a lot of this crap like, light bulbs and gas stoves and stupid stuff is all going to get thrown out. The Green New Deal is going to get trashed. So they've got to hold on to power. I think they're going to stick with the dog that they already have in the office, no matter how feeble and absent-minded he is. I think they're crazy enough to stick to him.
And every article that came out today from the mainstream media was said basically, almost every news outlet said anti-vaxxer Robert Kennedy Jr. running for president to challenge Joe Biden. So they're going to go along with that anti-vaxxer narrative, and that's how they're really going to attack him and interrogate him, because we know how strongly the Democratic base feels about the COVID, cult and that, all that shit. And then they're very sensitive. They're very sensitive about the vaccine topics, and they love their vaccines. They love their needles.
Rory, that's a good point. But you know what? We need, if it does evolve, some kind of a nasty primary where there be, Biden and Kennedy, even by a couple points. If they do it, if Kennedy sticks to it and runs against him, he can throw enough slings and arrows at Biden and expose Biden. Obviously he doesn't need any more exposure, but to expose it where it'll develop that if Trump does become the leader here and is running against Biden, it'll be enough damage to Biden. Even if they try to compromise the election again, I think Trump can pull this off now.
And I will say another thing that Robert Kennedy Jr. Will definitely here's a big struggle is he has a speech impairment disease that he was diagnosed with at a young age. And, that will be, like I said, a setback. I mean, you need to be, in today's day and age, a good speaker if you are running for president of the United States. So,
have you listened to Biden talk?
I know. But Blaine, people are sick of it on both sides. So, I mean, you need to have somebody coming in there with the energy and the tone and the speech that, just gets people going and is charismatic. And I don't know if Robert Kennedy has that necessarily. So it's going to be interesting. I love the guy. I think he has a lot of good ideas. I think he's done a lot of good. He's definitely a patriot in many ways for calling out pharmaceuticals for so long and, really going against the status quo and kind of separating himself from all these elites in DC. Greg, I'll go to you though.
Well, I mean, so much to unpackage there. Number one, there's no guarantee that Biden is going to even run. If I were to bet, which I'm not a betting man, I would say he's not going to run. But the other thing is, RFKJ, he's done good things. I read his book, but there's no chance in hell that guy will ever be the nominee. Not just his speech impediment, but you have to think like the left. He's not a radical leftist. He'll be the Jim Webb of the party. They will laugh him up the stage. And he won't even get an invitation to the debate.
He's trying to bring back the moderate.
I don't care what he's trying to do. You're judging it from a rational person. You're like an intelligent person, like, hey, this guy's got a chance. What I said, remember what I said yesterday? If you want to understand the left, you have to become one of them. So I don't know, somehow like temporarily give yourself a lobotomy and stick your head up your ass if you could do that and start thinking. Then you start to think like that. Kennedy will never come close to getting it out, even if Biden doesn't run, because you have to be a radical leftist. Look what they did to Jim Webb. Look what they did to the governor. When it came down to it, and the only reason why it was Hillary and Bernie Sanders is because Bernie's got the burn, got to feel the burn. He had all that. But they even buried him. The left will only accept a radical leftist progressive. Mm-hmm. Everybody else, you don't even get an invitation if you're a Democrat. We look at him and say, hey, you know what? Hey, that guy's got a chance. Just like I looked at Jim Webb, I'm like, hey, man, the guy's pretty sharp, former Marine. Yeah, look, these people don't make it in the Democrat Party of today. Got to be crazy deranged to the left. Or otherwise, you might as well save your money and stay home. You ain't going to get a ticket.
So, Greg, in other words, what you're saying is they can't control him like they can Biden. He's trying to bring back the Democratic Party that was, taking place in the 60s, and I don't think that's possible at this point. I think you're right. I think they've gone so far left that the days of reason and the days of the moderate are just not an option. They're not
gone. They're gone. I mean, that party's gone. It's like stage 4 cancer. Ain't no helping. The hospice drip. They're on life support. And their life support is radicalism and progressivism. You're not going to get to them. You're not going to cure that cancer.
We know he can't win. We just want him to do some damage to the Democratic Party.
Do they ever? I mean, Kamala Harris called the guy a freaking rapist, called Biden a racist, rapist? I don't know what she called him. And she was his vice president. I mean, that whole, the primaries and all the dirt. I mean, it never does anything. Whether you look at Reagan and Bush is his vice president. You look at what happened. I mean, all through all the primaries. You know what? It becomes persona non grata, forgotten. It comes in November. It's Republican against a Democrat, and that's it. Nobody's like, yeah, he got damaged. I just don't think any of that matters.
Well, we do know one thing. Big Pharma will not be giving any money to the Kennedy campaign. We do know that.
Oh, yeah. Lord.
True.
Well, I want to echo what Blaine said, too. I mean, I agree with him that it'll be hard to beat Biden if Biden runs again. But also,
just because of all the money they're giving him, Rodney?
Yeah.
And I don't know about that, though. I mean, if Gavin Newsom wanted to run, and I don't think he will. I mean, look, that guy will he'll run circles if he really wants to be president. And Biden, but it's a huge stretch to think Biden's going to run. But I'll tell you, Gavin Newsom against Biden, you think it'd be hard to beat Biden? You think run circles around that guy?
Yeah, but the people that's running Biden don't want to lose that authority, so they'll want to make sure.
Oh no, they're going to look at Biden and say, "This guy's got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on the banana peel. I'm jumping ship and going with the younger, better-looking guy that actually has a brain and that functions." Yeah, he'll jump ship from that old geezer in a heartbeat.
Yeah, if Biden, like I said, if Biden decides to run, I think it'll be hard for someone to beat him. But not only that.
Well, why would it be hard? Why would it be easy for a Republican to beat him if he's that great?
No. I'm talking about Democrat. We're talking.
Well, I don't care if he's so hard to beat. Why wouldn't he then be hard to beat in the general? The guy is a mental midget. He's a demented old geezer that can't even walk properly. He's easy to beat by any credible Democrat. Mop the floor with him.
Most of your Democrats are left-leaning, so that's the reason it will be hard to beat them, because your moderate Democrats are not going to vote in the Democrat primary. They're not going to vote. I know a bunch of them. I got them in my family. They're not going to vote Democrat anymore. They're going to vote Republican. That's the reason it'd be hard if Biden runs
then they're out of that doesn't have an impact on the primary nominee. If they don't vote, that just leaves people, the radical leftists, that are going to pick the more radical leftist candidate. That doesn't change the dynamic of the primary.
That's the reason I'm saying that I believe that Biden would win that.
But in the primary, that has nothing to do with it, though. If moderate Democrats don't vote, that actually doesn't. That actually hurts Biden if they're going to vote, because he wants more people to vote. My point is you get a Gavin Newsom. If somebody really like Gavin, look, Kennedy ain't going to cut it, but a Gavin Newsom, he could be very legit, and especially if Newsom announces a really kind of charismatic Veep slot, even though that doesn't generally happen in the primaries. But I'll tell you, look, Joe Biden is as easy to beat as anybody ever in the primaries. The guy can't even freaking stand up straight. He can't even read a damn teleprompter, and you think that guy's hard to beat? I don't care. Look, if they see somebody like a Gavin Newsom, believe me, these people are going to see the future of the party and say, "Hey, old geezer, Biden, you can go back to sniffing hair off little teenage girls. I'm going to go help Newsom over here." Look, it will be a wave of support for Gavin Newsom.
No, I agree. I agree. I think Gavin Newsom is a way better speaker than Obama. I think he's more charismatic than Obama. I think he's more talented than Obama. As evil as he is, the guy has a gift. I just wish he utilized his gift in good ways and for the better, but he doesn't, and it's a shame that he's
got a rotten core. How could he?
I just see so much potential and talent in that guy, and he totally uses it in the wrong ways. It's horrible, man. It's fucking horrible. Rodney, you wanted to respond?
Well, I'm just saying, if Biden runs for president against other Democrats, I believe Biden will win that. But against Trump,
I don't know how anybody could say that. Looking at the guy, I don't know how the guy's getting disastrous record.
Is it going to be a crowded field though? Because we keep talking about maybe it's looking as if the Republican primary is going to be crowded. Is the Democrat primary going to be crowded? Are people going to challenge Joe Biden? We've seen a few people announce.
Well, it depends. It depends. Listen, but I'll tell you, you got to look at what they're talking. They're already talking. The Democrat Party wants to dump Joe Biden. They can't stand Kamala Harris. Joe Biden is done. He's finished. The guy's past his limit. Like, his expiration date was 20 years ago. So the guy stinks like he's like a rotting corpse.
We said this same thing. We said this same thing a couple of years ago when he won.
Yeah. And they're extending his announcement until August.
Did you think? Let me ask you this. Did you think he was going to win? Let me ask you this. Like, let's go back to 2015, early 2016. Did you say Biden's going to win this thing? Did you think he was going to win?
No,
of course not. Of course not. He won by default. Look at the crazies that he had. He had the crazy Bernie with the crazy hair. He looked weird. You had Kamala Harris. She was like the first job. You had beat off O'Rourke. You had that clown. You had the black guy with the weird eyes. What's his name? The Stanford guy. You had all these weirdos. And Biden won by default because he's the last man standing. You had steep butt edge, all these clowns. But this time, he's got a track record, a dismal track record. I'm telling you, this guy would be like shooting fish in a barrel if you're a competent. Now, it's not going to be a Robert Kennedy, but it could be like it could be a Michelle Obama. It could be a Gavin Newsom.
Linebacker. No, we're good, man.
All I'm saying is, you get a real name in there.
Greg might be onto something because they're extending Biden's announcement until August now. They're saying he won't announce until August. So they keep extending it. Originally, it was supposed to be, I think, a month ago. He was supposed to officially announce.
My thing is, if he runs again, I believe he'll get the nominee. But if he don't, then it's up.
Based on what?
Blaine, your thoughts.
Based on what, though?
We've heard enough from over here. Blaine, your thoughts. Blaine.
He doesn't have any.
Me? I'll tell you. I just think, honestly, I think Biden's going to be the candidate, and I think there's not going to be a crowded field. I could be wrong. And that's fine. When he ran against Trump, my worst fear was, and I told this to people, I said, I fear he will be the candidate that can take down Trump. And it's not because he's good, but because he's very malleable and he'll do whatever it takes within his party to get that office. He's got a horrible track record, but the problem is for them to come out and take down Biden, they have to basically say Biden sucked at what he did. And while we all agree to that, it's super simple for us to say that. They can't say it. They don't want to say it because it basically is throwing their own progressive policies under the bus and how he executed them. And they can't do that. And they're the ones that advocated stuff like going to war with Ukraine and everything else. So they can't just divorce themselves of Biden and keep all of the policies in place. So they're going to keep Biden in place.
Are you serious? You say that with seriousness?
But Freddie Rubino, welcome to the show, my friend. You're joining us. We haven't heard from you in a while. Your thoughts on what we're talking about?
I can't believe there's still people on this fucking planet that think Biden actually won the presidential election. There was fucking unbelievable.
You got to get past that, though. We're talking about the future, though.
I don't
think he won. The trannies think he won.
If you think this fucking guy isn't manipulated by big Chinese money, he'll be the fucking next president if they want him to be. Every one of those fucking states that he won was fixed. And that's the issue is this fucking guy never left his basement and he supposedly got more votes than anyone. How the fuck could you believe that?
Well, nobody does, but that's not the point. We're talking about a primary challenge. And Blaine, so my question is, you think that his success, and the key to his success in the primary is because he's malleable by the left? You think that's his strong, that's why he will be the nominee?
I think they have more than proven that.
Okay.
They love him as a candidate because he has absolutely zero spine. He reads whatever they put on the teleprompter.
Right.
He is literally the perfect Democratic candidate because he is a blank slate.
You know who's the more perfect candidate?
Say whatever his people put in front of him.
But you know who's the more perfect candidate, Blaine? The guy who already articulates the exact message that they got to put in front of his face. That's Gavin Newsom. You don't need to mold Gavin Newsom. He's already the perfect sculpture. Do you understand that? Like, okay, Biden, he was saying that you put blacks, it's going to be jungles. Let me finish, though. Let me finish. Biden, they had to tell him what to do. Gavin Newsom is beautiful. He's young, he's handsome, he's articulate, and oh, by the way, he totes the exact line, the very agenda that they have to feed to Biden. He is like the quintessential perfect candidate. You don't got to teach him anything about the radical left way. He's already there.
One in the hand is two in the bush. They already know they can get Biden to do anything.
But you don't think that? But Newsom's already doing it, and Newsom's been doing it.
Just be saying whatever he wants to say to get it to the presidency. Then he does his own little fucking.
Oh, because he's got such a history of doing that in California. Because he's got such a history of hiding who he really is. He's not really a radical leftist that wants to get rid of your combustion engine, that wants to take away your stove, that wants windmills to replace fossil fuels. No, he's really a conservative and come on now. The guy is a radical leftist globalist, massive climate change, trannies in the White House. He is the dream. He is the wet dream of the radical left and the progressives. He's there, man. He is like on a silver platter. He has everything that Biden has, and then so much more, like a brain that actually functions, a guy that won't stumble up the stairs or stumble down the stairs, a guy who doesn't need a big blue piece of tape to tell him where to stand and who to shake hands with and doesn't shake hands with the air. Let me tell you, he is like the perfect quintessential radical leftist. I mean, Biden, you got to manage Biden. He's like a feeble old man that you got to feed. You know, how many you want to take care of a feeble old man? They prefer the guy could feed himself and he doesn't live on mashed potatoes and cornmeal.
Yeah, but listen, when Biden fucks up, when Biden fucking does things that are so outlandish and so against the Constitution and so damaging to the country, they have something to fall back on that no other candidate offers. He's fucking old. Who the fuck knows what he's doing? He canceled the pipeline. He let the balloon take pictures over our nuclear facilities. He's old. Let him go. See, Newsom might even have to fucking justify it and actually have to answer. He don't. He's like,
okay. Well, I mean, we just fundamentally disagree.
Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah,
no,
I'm with Freddie on his initial saying about what happened during the 2020 election. Well, that's going to be very important in 2024. All these states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, they have not changed too much as far as getting a decent and fair election. So it's
notwithstanding all of that
matter, and it's something we have to keep focused and hopefully try to push forward some more, getting fairness in our elections. Other than that, we're going to be screwed in 2024.
100%. We talk about that all the time and acknowledge that. But the subject is it's apples and those are oranges. The subject is potential rivals in the Democrat primary and who could beat. Can Biden be beaten? I think the guy is like, you get a real candidate in there, bitch slap him 3 times and he's off the podium. I mean, he's an easy
you're not
target
talking about
for a
rational
credible
people.
Democrat.
If you were talking about rational people, I'd agree 100% with you. But you're not talking about rational people. You're talking about crazy.
Okay, you're using my own stuff back on me, okay? That's what I say. You got to think like a radical Democrat. But trust me, I'm thinking like a radical Democrat. Gavin Newsom is a radical Democrat. He is everything. He's their wet dream, all right? And he will bitch slap Biden all over the place if he wants to. It's his for the taking if he wants to. All I'm saying is like that. Look at Joe Biden. It's kind of funny. How do you like dissect yourself and have these these parallel universes? Over here, Biden is this bumbling, fumbling idiot. Over here does it, but then over here in the primary, you're not going to beat Joe Biden. I don't know how you you juxtapose those two. The guy is a demented, bumbling, fumbling idiot. That's why you get a credible, radical leftist progressive, i.e., Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama, whomever. He's freaking going to tumble like a big, fat, demented idiot.
We're not
disagreeing
with you on your. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If the powers that be still want Biden, Biden's in.
And let me ask you this. You think the powers that be love having to feed this guy mashed potatoes and cornmeal? Smashed corn? They got to blend up the guy's cornmeal while he stares out the window in Delaware, and he like a comatose before they shoot him up with his drugs to actually be coherent.
It doesn't matter because whoever they want in gets in. There are powers that
you're right.
You're right. The Democratic Party that pulled the strings, and it's not fucking.
And my question then is. Do you think they want a feeble old demented man that they got to spoon feed?
Greg, we could have asked that same question the first time around, and that's who they chose. Why would
that's not who they chose? He rose to the top. He was like the filth that was left behind. The filth that was left behind. I mean, look at the choices. He kind of emerged. I mean, look at the only person you can look at primaries that they anointed. That was Hillary Clinton.
Let's change topic. This is going nowhere. This is absolutely going nowhere. It's absolutely going nowhere.
Well, you need to free your mind. It's going nowhere because your brain's like
going
stone.
Around in circles. It's just getting ridiculous, and it's just redundant. Nobody's going to agree with Greg. Greg has his own obviously opinion on this.
Yeah, there's one person who eats, sleeps, and breathes this, and has done it his whole life. But don't believe that guy. The one guy that calls it right every time. Believe the speculators. Believe the people that are distracted by the red dots.
Their opinion. Jesus,
you guys are like kittens chasing the red dot.
What happened?
What's this world coming to when a comedian's fucking ideas and opinions are not taken over seasoned fucking veteran political people? What is this world coming to?
An end.
Oh shit! That's too good, man.
It really is.
That's too good.
It really is coming to an end.
And listen, the fucking Chinese government has so much dirt on the Biden family. They could manipulate him any fucking way. They could get him to strangle his fucking wife on stage if it was. You're gonna save your whole family. No, I don't think they have that much dirt on anyone in the world, and they would never give something.
You're not, but Rubio, Freddie, you're not following me. They don't need dirt on Newsom. He's already in their camp. Do you understand? It's like they don't need it. With Biden, it's kind of like if you had a person that was basically your slave on the one hand, but a competent and healthy slave, or you got a bumbling idiot who's your slave, you don't want to have. You'll take the competent, the one that can work. Biden, also, you have to spoon feed the guy.
Might give them 8 years instead of 4.
What's that?
That's one good thing.
Yeah.
Gavin
All right,
Newsom
guys,
can give them 8 years.
I want to transition here. There was a new report out today, and this is highly concerning. Hunter Biden to resume selling art to anonymous buyers in New York City. Hunter Biden is set to resume selling paintings to anonymous buyers in New York City this week, despite an ongoing House investigation into the novice painters' art sales. Guys, what do we think about this?
Well,
I don't.
We all know this is one of the oldest tricks in the books for tax purposes. I mean, there's various loopholes that the elites use with the art world. We all know. This is a scheme.
It's a crackhead who wants to make money off his stupid idiot name. But you know what's disgusting about that? This very same guy who's lived his life off the Biden name is suing the stripper or whomever that has a kid with. He's suing her because he does not want that kid to bear his name. Can you believe that? That's how rank, satanic, and scum of the earth these people are.
Well,
he doesn't want that little girl having. You know why? You know, like we said, takes one to know one, because he doesn't want her to be able to profit off the Biden name like he's done his whole life. The guy's scum of the earth. But you know what? His eternity is reserved for him, and it ain't a good place.
Yeah,
you know what? When you
have to be pretty fucked in the head to have a kid with a fucking stripper. I'm sorry.
Let's not badmouth.
Hey, what are you talking about?
That's a dirty fucking.
It isn't having the kid with a stripper. It's abandoning your kid.
I'll tell you.
It's abandoning your kid. That's the problem.
That has been fucking used.
I agree with you. It's
been used.
Whatever. I mean, you look at
miles, man.
Did you see the girl? The girl. I don't care what. The girl's good looking, and he's scum of the earth. Yeah, he's a crackhead.
Doesn't matter. She's been used like a wet rag.
Yeah, okay. That's not the sin. The sin is he's got a child and he abandoned his own kid and doesn't even want her to have his last name because he's scum of the earth. No, it ain't the knocking girls up. Look, people knocking whores up all the time.
Okay, let's talk about this. In reality, obviously Hunter Biden is a shitty person. He has a lot of flaws. He's done a lot of fucked up shit. But would you really want to have a stripper take your name? I mean, that
it's the kid, not the stripper. It's the kid.
No, but I mean, do you kind of see? I mean, I already know he's done a lot of damage on the Biden name, and he's made his dad and his family look like fools. But people are going to look at something like this forever.
If your flesh and blood means nothing to you.
Let's go back to
what do you get caught up on that for? That's not the issue. Man, that's a complete sad diversion of the real issue.
I think a lot of guys would disown a kid if they had a kid with a stripper.
Well, he's scum of the earth. I don't care. You're scum. You bring your flesh and blood, that's your flesh and blood. That's your kid. Your flesh and blood. If you abandon your flesh and blood, you are scum of the earth, period. I don't care stripper. I don't care if the woman was I don't care what she was. You're scum of the earth.
That was a good song.
Well, see, now I'm going to agree with him. I think he needs to take care of his kid. It's his kid.
I agree. I mean, I understand that, but I can understand why he doesn't want the kid to have his last name. I mean, the mom is a whore. The mom is a whore. The mom is damaged. The mom.
Why didn't you just abort the kid then, Rory? You should have just aborted it.
You can be good looking all day long, but you can be so fucked in the head that that it's.
Yeah, you're looking at the wrong thing, man. You know what? Why don't you just say he should have aborted the baby? Should have paid for an abortion.
I'm not saying that. I don't believe in
it's his kid. It should be able to have his.
Exactly. It's a life. It's his life.
It's his. If he was a Kennedy, he would have had her killed before she had the baby. Come on. If you're going to be a Democrat, be a fucking Democrat.
We're digressing into irrelevance.
The kid has not done nothing wrong.
Now, Rory, what you said about the artwork, now, obviously, it's a payment. It's a fucking payment of whatever it is. It's the Chinese government still paying the Bidens. When you sell something, I'll sell you information on whatever, on a fucking nuclear secrets. We pay you. That's a one-time payment. In order for them to keep paying for whatever bullshit reason, artwork, you're on the board of the fucking executive, he's still selling our enemies something. He's still selling them something if they keep on paying him. They have to figure out a way to keep paying him because he's still supplying a product. What we got to fucking find out is what's the product and how can we stop them from fucking selling it to our enemies? That's what's happening. Why the fuck are they giving him money? No one gives you money for nothing.
Well, we don't know who he's selling it to. I mean, what you're saying could be true, but it's pure speculation. There's nothing that we know. We should know who he's doing it to. We should suspect the worst.
Clothes. That's why they're going out of their way to hide who's buying the fucking art. Listen, I send my fucking daughter $600 on PayPal or Venmo. There's a paper trail from when I earned it to my bank to him. They can't trace this fucking money that's coming into the Bidens and where it came from and where
they can and they have.
So where the fuck is this paper trail? Why don't we know exactly who's paying them?
It's very easy to find. You have to have a will to do it. We know where the money came from China. We have the bank records. I mean, it's all part of it. I don't know who's paying for it. Maybe it's China. Maybe it's just some radical leftist that wants access, that likes to go to White House parties. I don't know. Maybe it's somebody who just wants to kiss the ass of the Bidens and pay a bunch of money for some ridiculous, ugly ass painting. I don't know. I mean, maybe we could assume the worst. But we don't know.
No way. It's a payoff. It's another way of fucking funneling money in for favors or for whatever, for documents. My point is, it should be known. Somebody in this fucking country should have the know-how on how to get it and just put it out there and say, hey, look, the people buying the art are fucking from the Communist Party and it's from their Defense Department or whatever, wherever the fuck it's from.
Hey. Moving on from the crackhead, unless anybody has any final thoughts on the crackhead. Any final thoughts?
All I'm saying, it doesn't have to be. If this guy's on the, they're in the way out. It might be just his way of like, hey, they're gonna come after me. I got to get all the can on again. It could be just something simple as that. These are greedy, disgusting people. They don't sell their own mother out. He's selling his own kid out. So it could be just get all you can I get, buy my paintings. It doesn't even have to be something as deeply nefarious as selling secrets to the Russians or the Chinese. It could be just he's scum of the earth and wants to make a couple of extra bucks before he can't make any more money.
Matthew, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me tell you one thing about artwork. If you buy artwork, you want your name known. If you buy it as an investment, you want to say, I just bought an Andy Warhol for $6 million fucking dollars. I have it. Anybody want it? It's an investment. You want it? It's 7 million, 6.5, whatever it is. I don't know anybody who would fucking buy shit like that as an investment from this fucking piece of shit who has no talent at all and want to keep it quiet.
Right. Matthew, go ahead.
Just real quick. Yeah. What we need Hunter to do is to go on one or more of his drug-induced binges and drop off another laptop to some small store in Delaware, and we'll find out all the shit.
Rodney, go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to echo what they said. It's just who would want to buy his artwork? I mean,
right.
So I'd throw darts at it. That might be about the only thing I'd use it for. But
if you bought it and you knew it would be worth double in 2 or 3 years, you fucking want your name out there that you own it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so you're assuming these people are going to keep it hidden. These people are going to hang it in there. Maybe they're going to hang it in their Manhattan apartment and say, look at me, I got me a Biden original.
Let me ask the question real quick.
Yeah.
What happened in Wisconsin last night?
Are you talking about the story that came out where they're basically paying people to vote for this person and get the word out?
Well,
the Supreme Court person?
The Supreme Court, and also now they've come out. There was a problem with a couple of machines.
Well, there was a story where they had an app where, I don't know the exact full details, but what I heard is that they were paying people to vote for the Democrat candidate and get the word out there. And I mean, that's obviously election interference. I mean, that's violating so many different laws.
But did they not take over? I mean, I heard one report come out that they took over they got a supermajority in the state. The Republicans do, that can override any veto from the governor or anything now. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I did hear.
What state?
Wisconsin?
Yes, they do have the supermajority. That was tonight I found out, yes.
Okay. So tell me how they could lose Well,
the good thing about this, from what I read, is that justice that won now with the supermajority, if this judge does something, I guess the Republicans don't like, they can oust through vote because there's supermajority now. That's what I read a couple hours ago.
Okay, yeah, I just saw that. And my thing is, how could they Republicans take over supermajority and still lose? That.
Well, they spent $23 million. The left put $23 million into that campaign. It was crazy.
Yeah.
She spent $14 million. The Republicans spent like $2 million.
Yeah, it's a shame. And everybody knew about this race coming up.
There's $40 million in total, over $40 million.
It's a lot of money.
The Republicans put no money into it.
Guys, here's the report I was talking about. So here's how messed up the Wisconsin Supreme Court race actually was. A group called Wisconsin Takes Action offered $250 to voters to sway their friends to vote for Democrat Janet. How the fuck do you even pronounce this last name? Pardoe. Weird fucking name. Through an app called Empower. Wisconsin Takes Action's set up Empower to attract residents to the polls to vote for this person, for the Supreme Court judge, and reward them with gift cards for taking action. They download the app. It pays voters $30. Providing 75 names with phone numbers or emails in the app pays $60. Each time users reach out to their friends to early vote, make a plan to vote, or make a contact on election day, they will get paid in gift cards on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Wow.
Dirty. Real dirty.
I mean, this is, and you know who they're going after, their audience. I mean, they're appealing to the lower income, lesser educated kind of group. I mean, people that don't know any better.
Hey, 8 years ago, they would give them a pack of cigarettes on the way to the voting. They literally do that. Give them some cigarettes. Give them some smokes. Hey, smoke up. That's what they do. Buy the vote.
They're appealing to comedians.
I mean, they're buying off. I mean, but this has been going on. I mean, the buying off elections, all this election interference in so many ways has been going on for as long as we can remember.
Zuckerberg, $400 million in collection boxes. I mean, it's rank in the entire election system, which is true. That if we don't, and I've said this for a while, and as MJ said, if we do not either play by the rules or enforce the rules, then we're never going to win the White House. It's never going to happen.
Rodney, real quick, before you go, you got to hear this one. Did you see the story of the tranny Dylan being the spokesperson and the head face of Nike? Nike announced today that the person from the Bud Light scenario, which I originally thought the Bud Light cans were only for Dylan and they weren't going to distribute them or sell them. But it looks as of now like they might start selling this shit, which is why so many people are boycotting. I mean, can you imagine you open up your fucking beer and you got some fucking tranny, some fucking dude with a dick on the can? And then, I mean, Nike, the biggest fucking sports brand in the world, a brand that tries to, say that it's the ultimate alpha sports gear, now has a tranny spokesperson and the face of their brand. What the fuck is going on?
Well, I quit buying Nike years back.
Yeah, me too.
I've got
all their sweatshops.
It ain't hurt them.
Yeah, the way they treat foreigners, the way building their products in those sweatshops. I mean, there's documentaries about it. They treat their workers horribly. It's terrible.
Now, didn't Kid Rock go out and take a gun and blow his beer up? Didn't he take a gun outside and they showed that when all that happened? Did you see the video?
Kid Rock. Kid Rock, yeah.
Yeah, Kid Rock went out and blew. I don't drink, and that's my
I don't drink. I haven't drank in 18 months, but I used to be like Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas. You know that. I was a horrible drunk. Yeah, I mean, people get drunk, and then there's me. I mean, I was a whole different animal. I am so blessed that I am alcohol-free.
Well, alcohol affects.
I almost died many times, and I ended up in jail. I ended up in different facilities. It was not good.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you have a responsibility to your shareholders to make as much money as possible, no matter what your business is. And then you say, let's just alienate 99.9% of our customers and put up a rapist, a murderer, a transvestite, a fucking whatever it is. How the fuck are you still on the board of directors? Shouldn't you just be gone? If you make, I don't care what the decision was. We back fucking the abuse of fucking animals. Whatever it is that you tanked your fucking company, how do you still have a job? I invested in your company because you are the face of it, and you are going to tell me you're going to make the most money for me that you can. And now you throw it away on some fucking ideology, fucking crazy shit. How do they still have a job?
And Pastor, you know, I saw something very interesting today, and it was all over social media. And I thought about this a long time ago. I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show. But notice how the black community, I mean, overall, for the most part, they're not turning trans. It's mostly the white community that's doing this shit. And we know why the black community's not doing this, because they would get the shit beaten out of them, and they, you know, by their parents and just by the way they're raised, and they look down upon that stuff. And look at Nike's clientele. It's a lot of black individuals. When they see this sort of shit, they're not going to be too happy.
Yeah. That's
well, hopefully it'll affect the bottom line, because that's the only way they're going to listen when it comes to some of that.
Is anybody invest in Nike? Anybody on the panel ever invest in Nike?
What do you mean invest? Like buy their
invest,
clothes?
buy the stock.
Stock?
Yeah, NKE. Anybody buy it?
Stock, but I know people that have done well with their stock.
Okay. The stock was $60, give or take, in 2018, 2019. $60. It's $120 today. So if you have never invested in that, then you don't know what the stock has done. This is the same company that took the radical, incompetent, terrible quarterback, Kaepernick, and everybody said, blah, 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 blah. And look what it did. The stock skyrocketed. As a matter of fact, after Kaepernick, it was up over $160 a share. My point is this, very simply. You know, number 37 of the Marxist rules of goals is to infiltrate big business. Number 37, read it, 1963. Infiltrate big business. This is a Marxist movement. It's about fundamental change. And if you think that it's going to hurt their bottom line, think again. It hasn't. It hasn't. Good luck with that. Don't short. I wouldn't short Nike because you got this long banana picker arm tranny dancing around in Nikes. I wouldn't short it yet.
Merk loves the trannies. And so does Rubino. Rubino and Merk love the trannies.
Let's see what
Rory, Bud Light, same Bud Light.
Mark, I think Bud Light.
No, wait, Rodney. Rodney, real quick. I'll give you final thoughts before you take off.
I said we got to see what China says, because we know Nike's ran by China, really. So we got to see what they're going to say here in the next couple of days about all of this.
It should be interesting. It should be interesting. And do you have anything you want to announce or anything before you take off?
No, not really. I appreciate all of you. Nice being alone. Nice arguing with some of you. It's fun. We do it in
not arguing. It's debate.
Debate. We do it in jest. We do like each other. So that's a fun thing about it. But I appreciate all of you all. I'll be back on here before long. So
tell everybody where they can find you. Get involved.
Well, you can go to Rodney Evans Ministries on the web. You can go to Rodney Evans, or go no further, or we're on our way. One of those places, you can get in touch with me, any of those.
All right, buddy. God bless you. Much love.
God bless you. See y'all guys. Bye.
Brother.
So as we were saying, Matthew, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I thought this was I heard this story today. Jack Daniels was using drag queens during some of their festivities. I mean, all this stuff now is floating into the media. I mean, it shouldn't surprise anybody.
And what about the bill that Canada just put into place, where if you criticize or misgender any tranny, you can be put in prison? Did you guys hear about this? It just was on social media yesterday. I have to pull it up and I can read the exact story. But Freddie, you're shaking your head like you know.
Yeah, I heard that. It's listen, they put pastors in jail for praying in public. Okay, so Canada is Canada is really far gone. Canada is like a third world European dictatorship now. But Canada is usually the warning of what's coming down the pike for America.
Well, listen to this. New bill in Canada would prosecute anyone that misgendered, criticized, or protested against transgenderism. Anyone deemed transphobic, homophobic, or offensive would face prosecution and a $25,000 fine.
That's insane. There goes their freedom of religion.
So that shooting that happened in Memphis, if that happened in Canada and you made a comment about the killer, the shooter, you'd be arrested just for commenting on it?
Yep, you can't say shit about them.
In fact, when the chief of police said it was a trans woman, he was wrong. It was a trans man. And he would have broken the law and went to jail only because he didn't know what the fuck, what these labels are. It was someone born a woman who's acting like a man. Supposedly, that's called a trans man.
Yeah, Freddie, you need a fucking scorecard for all this shit.
Why is it? Why is all this happening? You ask yourself the question. I mean, we rail over it because it's outrageous. Why is it happening?
Greg's loving it.
Because I know why things happen. Remember, I tear through the facade and pierce the veil. We talk about these things all day long. Yeah, it's ridiculous, outrageous. Why do you think it's happening? It's by an accident? I think it was Demencio the other day. It's an accident? No accident. Yeah. Anybody who thinks it's an accident is an idiot. And you got your head up your ass or in the sand, even though ostriches don't put their head in the sand. But to use a vernacular, you get your head in the sand. It's intentional. Absolutely intentional. I went through that show. This is a Marxist socialist movement that is all about fundamental transformation. You got to break down the cultural standards. You got to present things like homosexuality, degeneracy, trans, and all of this promiscuity. It's normal. It's natural. It's healthy. You got to infiltrate the churches and replace this religion with social religion. And you got to discredit anything that's biblical. You got to talk about, chastise the church as more of a crutch. Got to eliminate prayer. All these things, on and on and on. This is a Marxist movement in America designed to fundamentally transform this country so they can destroy American exceptionalism and usher in their worldwide global socialist Marxist utopia. It's not an accident.
The greatest part of this country is its religion. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who's bankrolling? The CCP has their balls all over this Marxism stuff.
Well, I mean, look, maybe so, but these people are believers. Our academic institutions have been turned inside and out, and it started in the late 30s. I mean, these people are real believers. And the globalists, the people you don't know, I mean, beyond Xi Jinping, who's the enemy of all people, you've got the people, the real deceivers, the hidden ones, the ones working behind the scenes like Klaus Schwab, like Bill Gates. These are the real dangers. It's kind of like Hitler. It's like Stalin. It's like Saddam Hussein. He's the Antichrist. He's not the Antichrist. No more than that. Satan is a guy with a pitchfork and fangs and pointy ears. The Satan is a beautiful figure, a deceptive figure, one that, it's not Xi Jinping. It's the people who are going to fool you, and the people are going to make you believe. Nobody believes Xi Jinping is a friend of the people in the global community. These not the deceiver. It's the people in the Davos dimwits. They're the dangerous ones.
It was announced today that 3 U.S. congressmen are introducing the gold standard bill to stabilize the U.S. dollar's value. I don't think that bill's going to go very far. Greg, you're kind of smirking because these people don't think it's going to go anywhere either.
No, unfortunately, but you know what? It's like I've been preaching these things for years, 2 years, and I've been sending. I send articles out all over the place, Newsmax, human events, and I don't know. Maybe somebody's reading it out there. I don't know because they seem to be hijacking everything that I've been saying for at least the last year, for sure. The gold standard is the only way back to any kind of sanity. But I can tell you this: if the gold standard came back, it would be $20,000 an ounce. That I can tell you, at least $10,000 an ounce, because we could never be handicapped by. We would just raise the price of gold, which wouldn't be the first time. It's exactly what FDR did in the 30s when he confiscated all the gold. He made private ownership illegal, confiscated it when it was $21 an ounce, and then when he made it legal, he re-baselined the price to $35 an ounce. So automatically, we got, another 50% of money that we could spend because he rebaselined the price of gold. Listen, this is the only way to normalize it, but we don't need the gold standard. It will never happen. I'd love for it to happen, but we don't need it. We can't get government to reduce spending to the level of revenue. So you think we're going to put us on the gold standard where we're actually have to balance a budget and be restricted by the amount of gold we have in reserves? That's just not going to happen, but it's not necessary. I mean, I've got an economic program that could fix America for it could do it in about 5 years' time or less. But this Congress is not going to do that. Most of them don't have no clue about economics and financial markets, tax policy. They have zero understanding of that. So, it's a great idea. It should be done. Unfortunately, it's never going to happen.
Now, it says right here, saving rates for U.S. personal savings have plummeted to 3.7%, their lowest since 2007. By comparison, the savings rate in 2008 was 4.6%, and in 2009 it was 5.9%. June 2022 marked the fourth lowest month in U.S. history with a savings rate of just 2.7%. Meanwhile, credit card debt just hit a record $986 billion. Americans are borrowing more than ever with historically low savings. This is bad.
Bad? It's a broken record. It's like, okay, hello, I've been saying this for a very long time. Savings are all-time low. There's a reason for that because, A, all that stimulus money has run out. And they're having to dig into their savings. Inflation is eviscerating people's wealth. That's why they have to live off their savings. They spend. There's a crunch. I mean, the chart's out there. And if you look at the chart that's on Shift Gold, the crunch between people's additional savings and how it has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. They have to do that. Well, how else are they going to afford the price of products, goods, services, groceries, gasoline? It's crunch time. On top of that, you've got interest rates that are going up and adjusting for many of these people, certainly in their credit cards, as they're diving into their credit cards, $1 trillion. They're having to pay more, so they're saving less. This is why I say the economy is on the precipice of a disaster, the likes of which we haven't seen since the 1930s. It's going to be the numbers of stagflation of the 70s with the pain of the 30s.
Yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts on this?
Look at the proliferation of like dollar stores, like in any neighborhood. And there's going to be no discretionary income. You won't have people going to the ball games, going out to watch a show. If what Greg is saying is true, and I guess your expectations, Greg, it's going to happen later this year or sometime, right?
By the end of the year and into next year, yeah.
So, this is a bad time for America. And you would think coming up to election time, approaching 2024 next year, that, a Republican is guaranteed whoever it is that runs in 2024. But we thought that was going to happen, the last election, the way things were going with the country. So let's see what happens.
What is Rubino?
I agree 100% with almost everything Merk said, except when he said it's going to be like the 1930s. That world is over. What's going to happen when it crashes, like you said, I agree 100%. Have you seen the inner cities? They're looting. They are doing crazy shit now that it's never. Before that, the guy was poor. He used to sell apples on the corner. They will loot. They will steal everything in every city. It will be 10 times worse than the 30s because there will be such social unrest like this country has never seen before.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And, I've said that along with it. When I say 1930s, I'm talking about depression. People call it the Great Recession. No, I'm talking depression, right? There's not going to be a recession. Yeah. It's not going to be something. It will be a depression. And all the definition of depression, which is prolonged unemployment, persistent high inflation, hopelessness, joblessness. But and a cultural response will absolutely be that. And certainly we don't even have the culture or the drive and the character in the American people to do what we did to make it through the 1930s. I mean, that generation is long gone, the great generation, where you may have been out of work, but you wouldn't cut your neighbor's throat to take what he has. So, the cultural aspect, I can't even begin to measure the disintegration, the veil of humanity that will disappear. God.
They will be hijacking trains, the trains that supply and 18-wheelers. They'll be shutting highways down. Listen, when that happens, water and bullets. That's what you got to stock up on.
I'm gonna move to Palm Springs. Fuck this.
Quit talking about trains, Freddie. We don't want to hear about your we don't want to hear about your conquests and your different sexcapades with trains. We don't want to hear about it, man.
There's nothing wrong with Budweiser Light.
All right, guys, I want to ask you guys if you guys heard about this story today. Transitioning topics. Ukraine is ready to give up Crimea, according to Zelensky's advisor. So I want to know what Merk thinks about this. You were in the military. You were a Navy fighter pilot. Merk, you served overseas.
Well, I was an Air Force bomber pilot, but I was a Navy helicopter pilot, instructor pilot. But yes, I've flown everything: jets, props, helicopters. Yeah, I do have experience. Listen, I think that the inevitable, and that people maybe they're starting to realize, Russia's going to win. I mean, we've known that from the beginning.
We've been saying that for months on this show.
Right.
I've been saying it for months.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the question becomes, and this is what should have been happening months ago and billions of dollars ago. How do we come to the table to actually, I mean, these are the people that always, I mean, they attack George Bush every single day when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan. Where's the diplomacy? We're at war. Make love, not war. This is the party of make love, not war. And yet not an iota, not a shred of diplomacy talk. It should have been happening months ago. And you know what? You're going to have to give Russia what they, you're going to have to give a little, you're going to have to take a little. But, just dragging on this prolonged agony is just going to cost more people's lives. And you know what? Who's going to win in the end? China. China's going to win in the end because they're going to swoop in there and they're going to own everything and rebuild. And the American sucker taxpayer is going to be holding the bag.
Russia, 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 Russia. Matthew J., go ahead.
Well, this is important what Greg said, too, about China. And the reason I say that is because China, as you know, the representative was there, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, to Ukraine to discuss things. Well, this gives, obviously, CCP must have given some major incentives because they want that Belt Railway that comes from Eurasia to Central Europe all the way through Ukraine. So the Chinese have an incentive. They probably bribed the shit out of your boy Zelensky. And, of course, we know he loves fucking money. And it really comes down to dollars and cents. What I'm trying to figure out is why Finland joined NATO, which was a bad move on their part, because I believe NATO is going to be crumbling at some point.
Very good.
Listen, you bring up
I have a Zoom meeting. I just want to say we didn't have $5 billion for the wall, but we had $150 billion for those fucking pieces of shit in the Ukraine.
We just sent them another $2 billion today, didn't we? For weapons.
Them.
We could have built all those illegals a city in Mexico with $100 billion.
And let me tell you another fucking thing about this guy. He sacrificed a lot of people in his country knowing he was going to lose. Right. Knowing he should have sat down immediately and saved a lot of lives. He's a fucking piece of shit. He sold everybody out for money. Fuck him and fuck Joe Biden. Peace out.
Said.
Let's go, Joe. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Peace out and stop the queers that live in Palm Springs.
You've been drinking.
All right. Hey, tell everybody where they can find you. All right, he's gone.
They can't find him now.
They can't find him. He's gone.
100 proof.
This is true. It's true. So what do we think? Hold on. Let me fix the angle. This is better. Let's do that. So what do we think? What were we talking about?
Well, I will say this with Finland. You know what? That's the one more person that can pay in. But unfortunately, we don't have Donald Trump there anymore. Hopefully, maybe he'll come back. But making them pay their fair share. You know what? Let's start spreading the wealth more. These people want to join NATO. You got to pay your money. You got to pay your 2% or whatever there is. They got to pay. So bring in countries like Finland. I always thought that Turkey, of course, they came in, I think in the 50s, but Turkey was a huge mistake because culturally they're nothing like us. They're a Muslim country, so they don't share the culture and the values. And that's not being an Islamophobe. That's just being a realist. But countries like Finland, they perhaps share the values. So bring them in, protect us, give another buffer zone against Russian imperialism, and make them pay. That's the important part. Make it pay. Zelensky, get all the weapons he wants. Send him a bill. You got to pay.
So let me ask you this. Let's say a peace talk occurs. China makes that happen. And Ukraine and Russia, like I said, settle things. Where does that leave the relationship with Putin and Zelensky? Do you think they're going to be cordial, or do you think
they ain't going to be having tea?
Do you think they're? I mean, just because you do a ceasefire doesn't mean you're going to be necessarily cordial. It just means the war is done for now. But they still fucking hate each other. Is that fair to say? That
yeah, I mean, and Russia will probably still try to, send people over to kill Zelensky, and maybe the Ukrainians do the same. But
I mean, I hope Putin does. I think Zelensky is the biggest criminal piece of shit this world has ever seen.
No, he's not bigger than Putin, but there might be a tie.
He's much worse than Putin.
I don't think so. They're a tie.
Come on, dude. Come on, bro. Putin,
Putin is a rotten individual. He's been around a hell of a lot longer doing damage and destruction and killing than Zelensky.
Now I got the $1 million question for you. When has Putin really ever done anything bad to America?
No,
I'm referring to compared to what he's done to people in Ukraine, what he's done to these other countries. I mean, his interactions with us on a hostile front, on a radical front, it hasn't.
Obviously, he's never invaded. He's afraid to invade because he knows that we would rain hell, fire, and storm on top of him. So yeah, he's not going to invade us because we're not Ukraine.
But
we actually fight and have our own weapons.
He needs us. He needs the U.S. for various reasons. He's got friends here. He's got families here. He's got business ties here. I could go on and on and on.
Well, whether or not a country needs or wants or likes has nothing to do with it. I mean, the man has evil ambitions, and that's the whole point of the most corrupt, evil, wicked people. They have this relationship with you like China while they're stabbing you in the back. That doesn't mean they're not stabbing you in the back.
I know, but you got to admit though, like you've said, Putin is doing what's right for his country.
Well, Rory,
you can't hate him for that.
I hate people because you hate the evil.
It may be immoral. It may be unethical, but he's still.
He's a pretty good guy.
He's still a nationalist doing what's right for Russia, and he doesn't suck up to all these cocksucking world leaders,
Well, how does that help America? How does that make America better? How does that make America safer?
At the same time, why is America getting their noses into other people's business?
That's another subject, but I could give a shit less why, obviously whether Xi Jinping or he's doing it, he wants to make his country. Yeah, good for Xi. Make your country great. You know what? I like America. I want America to be greater because no country exports hope and liberty and freedom like America. Nobody exports its blood treasure of its service members like America. Certainly not Xi Jinping. They don't export troops to export and promote liberty and democracy. The Russians don't do it. They're imperialistic, totalitarian, evil regimes. So obviously they want to make their country great. Yeah, good for you. But you're not a good country. You're not good people. You're a wicked, evil, totalitarian dictator. You murder people who dissent.
They paint Putin as a boogeyman. He's like a fall guy in a lot of ways.
Oh, come on now. The guy is a rotten, evil person. To think of anything else than that is naive.
Hey, if we just left the Ukraine scenario alone, we wouldn't even hear his name right now. He would leave us alone. He's got no fucking, he's not worried about us right now. He's worried about other things. I'm just saying, like, we get our noses into Putin's business way too often. And he's actually, believe it or not, he said some nice things about Western civilization. He's given lots of Americans citizenship. He's about to give the boxer, ex-boxer Roy Jones Jr. citizenship. He's given Steven Seagal citizenship. He's given a lot of people citizenship. You know what?
What a good guy. He's a good guy. After all, Steven Seagal is a great American.
No, he's a good guy, man. He's a good guy.
Look, that's a foolish thing to say. Let me tell you about Putin and Russia, because you have to understand this to understand really the context of his global ambitions.
History and the way the media paints things, they lie to us. They tell us.
Well, what do you think? What do you think Putin's ambitions are?
To be the best world leader he can be. I don't blame him. I'd want to be the best.
That's just like a sixth grader could write that. What do you think strategically? Do you understand what his
dominate and conquer? I don't blame him.
No, you have to be specific. Now I'm gonna tell you specifically. He wants Europe.
Run through a motherfucker's face. Run through a motherfucker's face. That's his that's his forte. That's how he lives. That's his mind.
Beyond his platitudes and cliches, there's a real strategic objective.
I respect the fuck out of that guy, dude. He's gangsta. like straight up gangster.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll set you straight with gangster because gangster will kill you.
KG motherfucking B, dog.
Yeah, okay, good. And what happens to you when you dissent? You die just like it's
I'm
like Islam.
Russia, bro. Fuck this. I'm moving to Russia, bro.
Yeah, well, it's just like Islam. You know, you could befriend them. They will kill you. It's
I'm
like the
buying a place
liberals.
in Moscow and downtown, man. I'm gonna get in the condo.
Okay, well, come back
Moscow.
to reality. Come back to reality. You know, the liberal leftists can go to
I
the
get a
Middle East and
reasonably
Iran.
priced condo in downtown Moscow. I like downtown Moscow. Beautiful place. Go ahead.
You been there?
I've seen pictures. It's very pretty.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've been there. All right. And I've been to these shitholes, communist countries, all of the Eastern Bloc.
Whoa, you're calling Moscow a shithole because it's a very beautiful place. I know people that have been there. They said there's many parts that are very nice. It's, you know, and I've seen a lot of what downtown looks like. It is not a shithole, my friend.
It's the most expensive city to live in the world. One of the most expensive, top 5 always. And what you accept because you're talking to somebody that's been there.
Top 5. It's not in the top 5. That's not true.
100% it is. And Seoul, Korea is up there too. 100% it is. Look it up. It is 100%. And it vacillates back and forth. One of the most expensive cities to live in the world. That's just a fact. You can argue it if you want, but do so. It's futile. It is extremely expensive. But when you look at the country as a whole, the things that we take for granted are nothing like for example, when I was walking down the street in Varna, Bulgaria at about midnight, no lights on, all right? I almost fell in a giant hole. It didn't have any, it was on the sidewalk, giant hole in the sidewalk. There was no caution tape, nothing on it, not even an orange cone, because you know what? They just don't have that kind of stuff in those countries.
We almost lost Merk that night.
What's that?
We almost lost Merk that night.
Yeah, but see, Merk is smarter than the average communist. And I'm always expecting the worst when I go to these shitholes and where people don't have any freedom. I mean, look, they just locked up a guy. Why did they lock up this journalist? Because they want to exchange another Doom, what do they call it? Doctor of Doom or whatever that guy is they got for the giant basketball player, exchanged a murder and thug arms dealer for our basketball player. Yeah, that wasn't even exchange.
Grenier, the carpet muncher.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what we're dealing with Putin. But I'm going to tell you what his ambitions are. Because it's not just, hey, let him invade Ukraine, no problem. If he could do it without – now, again, I don't support sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. I support sending them all the weapons they want. They got to pay for it, all right? They have a right. They have a right to fight for their liberty. If they all die fighting – good for you. I mean, you tried, just like we did in America 250 years ago. We fought for our freedom. You have a right to fight for your freedom too, but you don't have a right for the world to bend their knees before you and give you everything. We'll sell you. That's right. We'll sell you. But the point is, Putin wants Europe because it's a technology base. He wants Africa from there because it's the natural resources. And he wants Asia for the labor. So when you look at his strategic objective, it's based and rooted in those 3. Have relationships with Asia, cheap labor. Get as much of Europe as you can. If he could have all of it, he'd have it because that's a technology. And take all of Africa. Now, he just doesn't have the gold. He doesn't have the store value. He doesn't have the money in the bank or the technological advances to do that. China does. But forget the fact of whether or not he can or cannot accomplish his strategic objective. It doesn't deny the fact that that is his strategic objective. Europe technology, natural resources, Africa, Asia labor. That is understanding Putin in a nutshell.
Matthew, you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, sorry. Rory, you asked a question a couple minutes ago. What has Russia done to America? It should be the other way around. America destroyed Nord Stream, which the Russians had over $2 billion invested, will cost $500 million to fix. The United States also screwed their ally Germany by cutting off one of their major energy sources. So that's the way we should be.
MJ, let me stop you.
Finish, Greg.
Biden. Don't say United States.
Great guy.
Biden.
Putin is absolutely no great guy, but the United States, through their vassal state Ukraine, is fucking up the world. And now,
you can condemn the United States all you want. This is the radical left. This is the Biden administration.
To go into Europe, Putin has no.
We say that about Trump when Trump was in office.
Have the resources to do it. So it's.
Would you say that about Trump when he was in office? What you just said about the United States? When Trump was in office, would you say that?
Say what?
The United States did this. The United States did that. Would you say that?
Well, the Nord Stream thing was an act of war. Of course, I'd say.
When Trump was in office?
Listen, Trump didn't do anything like that.
Right. So now we're getting to the heart of the matter.
Irrelevant. That is irrelevant. Trump did not do anything like that.
It's very relevant. Look, you want to attack the United States? I'll give you a recommendation. Move to Canada. Okay, you want to attack the United States, move to Canada. No, what you're talking about is the radical leftist progressive ideology of the Democrat Party, Joe Biden and company. But to condemn the United States, move to Canada. You know what? I don't go to that camp, and I don't appreciate people that do, because I actually went to these wars. They like to disparage endless wars, and I saw people get their legs blown off and get killed. I participate in that. So I take particular offense to those who want to attack the United States. We do this. Like, they make this a moral equivalency because Russia's bad. But you know what? The United States is bad. And you know what? Like I always say, you know what? You and the fat lady on The View, what was her name? Rosie O'Donnell, you got a lot in common. You both hate the United States.
Weren't we just talking about this a couple of weeks ago? Address the Nord Stream issue, Greg. It's a major international
and I'm saying this is Joe Biden, the policies of the Bidens. I'm not going to condemn the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of mankind, because of idiot policies of Bill Clinton, of Barack Obama, of Joe Biden. I'm not going to condemn the United States of America. We need to take our country back. You said it yourself, under Donald Trump, these things didn't happen, and we are a great country. You can't condemn the United States because of what? All I'm saying is you have to parse what you're saying. These are policies of the left in the progressives in the Democrat Party. And yet when you condemn the United States, you sound just like a Russian propagandist. This is a party in America that's destroying this country.
You are totally fucked up. I know what I'm talking about. The Nord Stream thing outside this country was an act of war. You got to stop thinking America doesn't make mistakes. You ever hear Rory talk about America and what we've done in the last couple decades?
Did you ever serve your country? Were you talking I'm fucked up? Did you ever serve your country, MJ?
To reality?
Did you ever serve your country, MJ?
Go ahead, talk away. Talk away.
Have you ever served your country?
No,
I'm
I
asking
haven't, but I'm going to hear a speech about it. Go ahead.
Okay, no, because you say I'm fucked up, but I actually went into harm's way. I actually faced the enemy. All right, I actually did that. I actually love the country so much that I was willing to die for it. Okay, and no country in the world does what America does. And I've said this 1,000 times. What other country exports more hope around the world? What other country exports more freedom, more of its fiscal treasure, its money, more of its most sacred treasure, the blood of its servicemen? Nobody. So you can condemn the United States all you want. Make this moral equivalency. Move to Canada. That's all I tell you. Move to Canada if it were so rotten. Move, you know what? Move to Mexico. You could live large. The peso's down. Move to Mexico.
Next topic.
If America's so bad and Russia's the same, hey, you know what? Buy a flat next door to get a condo next door to Steven Seagal.
Next topic.
Wait, you love Steven Seagal, man. What do you got? Come on, Greg. Why are you insulting Steven Seagal?
I have zero tolerance for people that make a moral equivalency between the mistakes the United States makes, between the existence, the mistaking in the existence of a Marxist totalitarian dictatorship like Russia or China. Yeah, we make mistakes. Oh, by the way, miss the real message. And you play into the hands of those people that hate us and would just assume wipe us off the face of the earth. Don't play in the hands of those people.
Matthew, I'll let you give your final.
I'm not. You move on to the next subject.
You want to respond to Greg?
I don't even want to address that shit.
Okay. All right.
I don't address it, but you say I'm quote fucked up because I say that.
Transition topics. We got a few more things, and we're closing out the show. It was announced today that Leonardo DiCaprio testified that the CCP-linked Malaysian financier, who's now a fugitive, sent Obama $30 million during the 2012 campaign. Did you guys see this story today?
Yeah, I saw some of it.
What do we think of this?
I think America is really a bad nation, and we're no different than China and Russia.
Oh, fuck. Come on, Greg. Honestly, though, this is a big story. This is big. I woke up today. I was reading about this. This is crazy. DiCaprio had to testify. This fucking... Wow, this guy was linked to the CCP, this guy that gave Obama $30 million.
That's a lot.
China gave the Clinton administration tens of thousands of dollars in donations, one at a time, to the tune of millions in '96. Million. And then after he got reelected, he declassified technology that they shipped to China. So, hello, I think this is the first time it's been going on for a long time. But again, seems to always happen under Democrats.
And there's more. I'm just going through different things. More news out today. Macron over in France warns Europe must not separate from China economically. So it looks like Macron and France are going to side with China over the U.S. So, I mean, China is just taking everybody away from the U.S. dollar. It's absolutely incredible how China can negotiate these deals and get all these countries on their side.
Why do you think they can do that?
because the U.S. has poor leadership.
Yeah.
And we're led by a bunch of infant amateurs.
That's right. Weak, pathetically weak. And there's a vacuum. When a strong America is no longer a strong America, China, Russia, they move in China especially, because they got the goods. They down to like 850 some $billion in U.S. treasuries. This is the lowest in a very long time. They're de-dollarizing. Look, they're going to go after Taiwan, and they are securing. This is what I'm talking about. People, they talk about these two things separately. They talk about China dominance in the world, and then they talk about, hey, what will happen, China and Taiwan and all that. They talk about it as if they're two separate issues, and yet they are intertwined. They are very one in the same. China's dominance in the world and the de-dollarization is the exact the message, the key, the map to their imperialism over Taiwan. As they do this, they're planning to do that. It's all part of the same program. De-dollarize, have all these relationships throughout the world, then go in and take Taiwan. And you know what? We're immune to any sanctions that America could do. And they've already proven that these countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's Japan, India, all of them, Brazil, they'll dump America in a second if it means ingratiating their own pockets. After all, you even said it yourself, Roy, they're just looking out for their own country.
Right. It was also announced today, this is mind-blowing. J.P. Morgan, the CEO, says that government should seize private property to build wind and solar farms. Wow, that sounds like tyranny. That sounds like communism. That sounds like the worst. Wow. Your thoughts, Greg?
Well, number 37, infiltrate and gain control of big business. Yeah, they're all on board with this radical leftist agenda to turn us into this, green utopia.
And be happy, the World Economic Forum motto.
That's right. That's right. It's crazy. Crazy. They want to confiscate everything.
It's true. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real.
No, it's not. It's not tinfoil hat. It's just real, man. Real stuff. And they don't even hide it in the Davos. They don't even hide it.
Jesus. And I can't even believe this today. We were talking about Ukraine earlier. They're actually going to become a member of NATO. And Stoltenberg came out today and said, we are going to have them become a member of NATO.
Yeah. I mean, good luck with that.
Fuck.
And the United States is going to still pay for all this shit all the time?
I mean, if you go back in the last 10 years of all the mainstream media outlets that wrote articles about how corrupt Ukraine was, and now all of a sudden they're saying how amazing Ukraine is and how, peaceful and loving they are. It's wow. Just go back and look.
Freedom of the press or anything there.
Yeah. I mean, this is just fucking weird times. Weird fucking times. I'm just going through stuff right now. The U.S. monthly trade deficit widens to $70 billion in February, up $1.9 billion from the previous month and higher than expected. I don't know if that means much, Greg, in your eyes.
Oh, huge. I talk about it all the time. The trade deficit is huge. This is what we're doing is we are borrowing money for consumption from other countries. That's exactly what it means. Look, I can talk for hours about our GDP or our trade deficits. It lowers our GDP. It's an offset to GDP. When you have a deficit, if you sell, your goods and services are $25 trillion, but you've got a $2 trillion trade deficit, your GDP has to be reduced to 23 trillion. So you look there's so many things wrong with our massive trade deficit. It has not improved at all, not even under Trump overall. It is a huge problem for America. We're a consumption nation. No consumption nation is an economic success. We have to be a producing nation, a manufacturing nation. We're not that anymore. We're a consumption nation, and that does not bode well for the economic future of the country.
And Matthew, you have any thoughts?
Not too much on that.
New poll came out today. Rasmussen, after the Trump indictment, he has his largest lead over Biden, 47-40.
There was another one. I don't know. Correct me. It was Quinnipiac. It had Biden as leading Trump. It's like I can't. Like, who are these people asking? Who are they talking to?
Very interesting. I don't know what the fuck. Wow, this was breaking today too. The Nashville police found the trans school shooter's suicide note, and they're refusing to release the details. They won't release it.
We wonder why, right?
Say that again. They said they found what?
The Nashville police found the trans school shooter's suicide note, and they're refusing to release the details.
Well, it's funny because remember what I said? I said exactly that. This person was walking around, wanted to get killed. This was a person on a mission to die. I mean, that was clear. And I said that like last week or when this thing happened. They were clearly on it. Yeah, they wanted to do this and Matt get kind of lash out because this person obviously is a psychopath and mentally ill. But they clearly wanted to die. That was obvious because you saw him on the camera just kind of walking around and doing whatever it is. You saw it walking around. It's like, when are they going to arrive and shoot and kill me? You know, because this piece of shit didn't even have the courage to shoot themselves. Kill yourself. Don't kill little kids. Have the courage to kill. If you want to die, kill yourself. Didn't even have the courage. That's like there is the lack of courage, and then it's like even a depth below that. Didn't even have the courage to kill themselves. Had to kill little innocent people just so, I don't know, maybe in her crazy mind, she thought that if someone else kills me, it's not like killing myself, even though that was her mission in the first place.
What do you think the note has inside it? I mean, the mental health struggles and a bunch of other things that they don't want the public. And of course, there'll probably be a big pharma element like we've been talking about. The person was probably on drugs, all those transition drugs they're on. And, you know, you're going to see more and more of this, and the media is going to let it slide. And certainly Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Todd, and maybe she exposes the abuse that she experienced as a child. You know, and start talking about that because, you know, we never talk about that. Gay, you're born gay. You got transgender, you're born another. But you never talk about the abuse that is almost without exception in the in the childhoods of all these people. Never talk about that.
No, absolutely. Did you guys hear about the? This is mind blowing, and I read this article today and heard about this, and I was just like, nobody's fucking safe. The founder of the app called Cash App.
Yeah, he's freaking stabbed to death.
Yeah,
crazy.
Stabbed to death. I use Cash App all the time. I'm like, holy fuck. The guy's name is Bob Lee. He was only 43 years old. Stabbed in downtown San Francisco.
Yeah, welcome to San Francisco.
Welcome to San Francisco, bitch.
Welcome to San Francisco. I mean, this guy, look, think about it. This guy's a I don't know, billionaire.
Billionaire. Yes.
And what's the story? We don't even know. I mean, to me, that was huge news when I saw that today. And it was just a Bloomberg blurb. I mean, there's nothing. They're not releasing anything. It's really incredible. That's a huge story. I'd like to know what the motive was. It just a random act? Was this person targeted? I mean, that's a huge story.
Did they arrest somebody?
No. I read the report. Still suspect at large. Nobody has even been identified. They can't figure it out. And look at the police department in San Francisco. They defunded it. They have lack of funds. They have lack of officers, lack of resources. I mean, it's just like they don't even care at this point. I mean,
people shitting on the sidewalk.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck anymore. I mean, but that's all the fault of the politicians that put these radical laws into place that are ruining and decimating our societies in our communities.
And it's not even in bad communities anymore. It's not even bad neighborhoods. It's everywhere in these cities.
Yeah.
But guys, if you guys will remember,
McNutt joins us. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Hey, you bet. I'm good to be here. If you guys will remember, I don't remember whether it was like 9 months ago or if it's been a whole year ago. The NASCAR driver that was stabbed to death at the gas station in California.
Yeah.
They caught the guy, and his only remark was, he said, I knew he was famous, and I knew I'd get famous if I killed him.
Fucking nutcases.
No, and we have a lot of crazy people like that. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, my investors on my website, my podcast and stuff that I'm doing, they're all concerned all the time. They're like, you're putting your face out there all over everything. They said, we want you to get a bodyguard. They're actually talking about, I've been talking them out of it so far, but they're actually pushing me. They want me to get a bodyguard because they don't want me to be out in public. They said, you know, you're talking politics, you're talking all this stuff and privacy. And they said, you're going to be somebody that somebody's going to decide, hey, I can get famous if I just kill him. And I'm like, well, we'll see.
This is a city where you have a 1 in 16 chance of being a victim every year of property or violent crime. 1 in 16 chance. That's San Francisco. Welcome to the most expensive city in the country.
I'm still laughing my ass off with the black reparations and the audacity and the nerve that these fuckers have going in and saying in front of all these politicians in a hearing, well, we don't think 5 million is enough. We're asking for about 7.5 million each and about 8 million each. We want all free community college, all university free. we want to hold white people accountable. I mean, I'm just like, wow, what the fuck? I mean, these fucking people. But you know what? We have created these monsters by enabling their entitlement and these radical ideologies.
Between that and the illegals, that's a lot of money between supporting the illegals in California.
Fuck, man. yeah. Some black guy with sweatpants and a fucking hoodie goes into the fucking. He goes in front of all these politicians. Yeah, we don't think 5 million's enough. With all the inflation going on in California after taxes, we don't think that's enough. What the fuck, motherfucker? Who are you? Who are you?
Hey, he ain't stupid.
$5 is too much.
I'm going blackface, bro. I'm going blackface. I gotta really I gotta ink it up, man. I gotta ink it up. I gotta get my reparations. I gotta get my money.
You're too white.
No, but I can make it look. Believable. I can make it look real. Look at what Jimmy Kimmel did with the Karl Malone skit back in the day. Yeah, he really looked like Karl Malone. Like, that was great.
Hey, the Wayans brothers can go whiteface.
Yeah. Exactly, White Chicks. Yeah. That was a great flick. That was a great movie.
That was good. I saw that.
Yeah, I like that movie. That was good.
You know, I see the same homeless guy up the road here on the street corner holding a sign. You know why he's there every day? Because idiots give him money.
People give him money. Yeah, if you enable it, if you continue to do it, they'll continue to come back.
So, there's Jamal in San Francisco. Hey, you're going to get the money. Why? If it's like he has 5 million, we're going to get 5 million. Then all of a sudden, I should ask for 7. Let's make it 7. If they say 7 million, they're going to come back and say, we should be 10. I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous.
They're never going to get it done enough.
It's crazy.
They're never going to get it done.
Matt, do you have any thoughts about this?
Roy, just to get back to the PayPal guy that got murdered.
Yeah.
Was he kind of like one of Paul Pelosi's friends? That kind of community? Like what I'm saying, was like a hate crime. I'm not sure.
He comes off that way. He might be a fruity. He might be.
That's what I thought. Maybe it's a hate crime or something like that.
He might be a Doogie Howser. He might.
Yes.
Be.
He was pretty. He was a father, right? I think he had a family.
You can still be gay. You can still be gay and be a father, dude.
True, but look at. You got a ridiculously crime-ridden city, and this guy, perhaps minding his own business, gets stabbed in the chest by some scum of the earth who should have his brains blown out right in the street. Maybe if they had gun laws like Florida, constitutional carry, he would have had a chance. He'd have had a shot.
Yeah, I thought they had cameras too.
That's what I was thinking.
Like Philly and New York all have.
That's what I was thinking. Right? I mean. There's definitely got to be cameras everywhere in that city. I mean, this is the deep state. There's got to be cameras everywhere in that city.
Right.
What did you read the report today? Did you read the report that small businesses are filing for bankruptcy at a higher rate than at the peak of the pandemic?
Wow.
Yeah. Of course.
Did you? I mean, Greg, this is scary shit, bro.
Oh yeah, that's scary. But you know what? Not surprising because I called it. Listen, I said when the country is addicted to heroin and crack cocaine, and you take the drug away, they're going to collapse. They can't afford it. The Federal Reserve raised the interest rates way too quickly, and they allowed the problem to persist way too long. Zero interest rates, inflation was a massive problem before they finally did anything. So they created the problem, and now they're exacerbating the problem with the rapid rate increases. These companies cannot survive. So you've got all these things, all these forces converging on them. The cost of wages are skyrocketing because of inflation. The cost of interest on their debt skyrocketing, so they can't service their debt. They can't even keep the employees that they have. So this is a formula for abject failure for businesses all around the country. And again, this is just the beginning of the dominoes, from the banking industry to the job markets to small businesses. This is just the beginning of the calamity that is to come.
Todd, do you have any thoughts?
Had to finish blowing that last puff out.
I hear you, man. I got my weed
Good
over
cigar,
here,
though.
man. I'm smoking too. I'm smoking with you.
There you go. I think it's. I mean, you're right, and the thing I look at, and I'm kind of new to the show, so I don't know if you guys have ever talked about this, but they're going toward a communist country, a socialist country, like a rocket sled on rails. That's where the Democrats are trying to push us. But it gets me. They're talking about turning us into a socialist government. And since Obama, they've been talking about one world government again and pushing that, or the New World Order. And it's like, and then they're telling us they're afraid that the Chinese are watching our TikToks. It's like, if we're going to have a one world government, why do we care who's watching our TikToks or tracking our cell phones? I mean, seriously, if we're all going to a one world government anyway, what difference does it make?
Yeah, because the one world government, they don't want controlled by China and Xi Jinping. They want it controlled by people like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum, not Xi Jinping or Putin.
Let's go to MJ.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to MJ.
What were we talking about again?
We're talking about small businesses filing bankruptcy at an all-time high. The economy in ruins.
Yes. Okay.
Stagflation is coming. It's already here, pretty much.
Well, Rory, this is surprising. The statistic after the COVID thing, apparently, 60% small business failed, and never came back. How you're saying that statistic is now worse? It's like 80% now of small businesses. I mean, I was in a mall today, out here in suburban Philadelphia that used to be a thriving place. Big food court, had about 15 food store. 2 are open right now, and 80% of the other stores are unoccupied, and the whole mall is about to go. I know it's not a gauge of a complete gauge of what's economically happening in America, but it is reflective of something that we are in tailspin.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
That was actually where I was going with my point, and I got went off one direction. But the whole thing is it's like they're pushing to collapse the economy. It's like that's what they want, is to collapse our economy.
Yes.
And I don't get it. It's like, what idiot came up with the idea that would be the thing to do?
Well, let me explain it to you, because I've talked about it many times before. This is why I say, and when I ran against Matt Gaetz, he sat there dumbfounded as I had to enlighten him on why he's a dangerous candidate as he supports this climate change agenda. This is not a domestic movement; it's a global movement, because the key to their massive global utopia is the destruction of American exceptionalism in our economy. Because America, really, we are the hope for the world. And as long as America is in the mix, we raise people out of power. We give people opportunities. They don't like that. That's why equity has replaced equality. Equality, you can't pick the winners or losers, because it's whoever has the gumption and the guts to make it. But equity, not only can they pick, they can author the winners and losers and control it, who wins and who loses. So the way to usher in their world utopia, their one world government, they have to eliminate American exceptionalism out of the equation. They have to make us like everybody else. And the key to destroying American exceptionalism is destroying the American economy. And the two greatest tools to that is climate change and the whole racist narratives that destroys us socially, but the climate change agenda destroys us economically. Because think about what an economic law, the devastation of America's economy does. Not only does it destroy our ability to exercise the world's reserve currency as the US dollar, diminishing that power, which is profound. I mean, the power that we have in the reserve currency is immeasurable, but it also diminishes the military, because it's that military that is financed by that world's greatest economy. So it is a twofold attack. You take down the economy directly, and as a result, you take down our military exceptionalism and our military leadership. So the key to ushering their world utopia is they have to destroy American exceptionalism to the point where it takes us down to a level where we're like everybody else. Then they can exert their control. That is the motivation. It's a globalist agenda, and they articulate their message in black and white. Just go to their website, the World Economic Forum.
Matthew, you wanted to say something, Matthew?
No, I pretty much agree with what Greg said, that globalism and all that has affected our country, and I think that how do we get out of this? I mean, can we wait? I know we discussed this. Can we wait till 2024 to rectify some of these things? How do you address this right now?
That's a question I ask. Can we make it? Will we make it? I don't know. It's not going to get addressed until then. Put it this way: if we don't win the White House and get our House, the Senate, and the House, it's never going to. This administration is never going to. They're going to work exactly in favor of this global movement. So it's never going to happen for the next 2 years. But can we last? Will we make it? That's the real question. I don't know. I can't answer that.
That's a scary question.
Yes,
because there really isn't an answer to it.
Tony Rodriguez, welcome, my friend. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with Greg. I don't know what the answers are at this point, and I'm hoping and praying we can hang on for 2 more years, because until there's a change of command in our leadership, we're just going to keep going down this path. There's no stopping it at this point. Biden has given everything away to every nation out there except our own people. So until Trump gets in the White House or somebody like DeSantis gets in and we win the Senate and keep the House, we're not going to be able to get out of this. I don't see it happening.
No.
And then let's just say that, once Trump gets back in there in 2024, do you think he's going to clean house like never before? Do you think he's going to do things, in a way different manner than he did the last time?
What if he has to work with Mitch McConnell? I mean, Jesus.
How the hell?
Same shit.
You bring up a really good point. How do we get rid of these fossil fuel dinosaurs? How do we get rid of these people? I mean, seriously, you know what? I don't wish ill will and harm or death upon anyone, but I think we would have been better off if Mitch would have just fell and fucking, cracked his head
broke
open.
His neck.
Yeah, it would have been done. It would have been done forever. I think we would have been better off. I don't want to wish that upon a human being. As evil as that fucking guy is, and he's an evil son of a bitch. He's a cocksucker, and his wife definitely wears the pants, and she puts a strap on most likely when they're in the bedroom. But anyways, they're both horrible people. They're both awful. They are like Nancy and Paul Pelosi. They're no different. They are no different.
And we hope McCarthy stays. McCarthy met with the Taiwan, the prime minister or
president?
Yeah, today.
And,
that was today. I saw the video. Yeah.
That was today. And obviously the CCP now is saying we're going to react to this. We're going to react. Well, they're going to huff and puff and blow your house down. There's just going to be diplomatic reactions. We hope.
Yeah.
You know what? This is the pathetic. First of all,
the semiconductor industry is what China wants Taiwan for the most part. I mean, that's what they're after. I mean, because the semiconductor industry is leading the world in the economic realm, and Taiwan is like the big players.
Taiwan used to be part of China. They just want their country back. In their mind, they believe it's theirs and belongs to them.
But how do you let me ask you, Greg, if you were the leader of China, put yourself in their shoes for a second. And, this may be hard to do, but let's just say you were Xi and like you just said, you had that thought in your head and you actually truly believe that Taiwan belongs to you. Would you be doing the same thing Xi is doing?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course you would want to. You would, if I'm an evil dictator that doesn't care about people's human rights. Yeah, of course I do that.
Okay, I want to ask you something else. Okay, what about from a moral and ethical standpoint? Do you think truly Taiwan belongs to China? If we go back and look at history.
No, that's like saying, does parts of the Middle East belong to the Palestinians? No. I mean, if you want to go back in history, look, we can go back history, then we go further back in history, go further back of it. We can find different owners of property all the time. The fact is, here and now, Taiwan's an independent country, and they deserve to be able to preserve and protect their independence and not fall prey, just like Hong Kong did, and going back under the communist regime of authoritarian control. So they have a right to defend themselves.
Though. It's inevitable that they're going to get taken over by China. It's
Well,
just a
I don't
matter
know.
of when.
It's not necessarily inevitable, but it will happen because we have a feckless, pathetic, retard, demented idiot for a president and a radical leftist regime. You know what? It should be Biden meeting with the president of Taiwan, not Kevin McCarthy. It's a disgrace in and of itself, but it shows you that he's A, probably compromised, and B, pathetic, feckless, and weak. But anyway, Taiwan has a right to fight for their independence and to maintain their independence. And America has a strategic and national security responsibility to ensuring the independence of Taiwan.
It's true.
Yep. The U.S. apparently has moved a lot of stuff to the Philippines. A lot of assets are starting to get moved to the Philippines, so it'll be
5 new
closer to that
bases.
theater.
Yeah.
We got rid of the PI, our base in the Philippines, some years ago, I think under Clinton, and now we just negotiate. Now we're going to have 5 Navy bases in the Philippines.
Yep.
Tony, you have any thoughts?
No, I think, first of all, we made a mistake when we took our bases out of the Philippines to begin with. It gave
Especially
the Chinese,
the PI.
Yeah,
Those
I mean,
good
that
bases.
was a big, naval base for us. And, the best word I can use for where we're at today, we're just a clusterfuck in today's world. We're an embarrassment to our own nation. Countries are laughing at us. People are taking advantage of us because they know that Biden's not going to do anything. He's weak. He doesn't deserve to be in that office. He doesn't deserve to be called president. And the staff around him, they're all puppets. Not sure who's really running the White House, but I know it's not Biden.
Did you see that video? Did you see the video of when he was with the unions? I forget what factory he's at, and the kind of fat union guy's walking out, and he's telling them each time there's going to be the blues thing, and we're going to have some people, and he's just like, it's like a baby. He's got a baby there, and there's idiot Joe Biden. Just listen to this guy talking like the steps of everything. You're going to shake hands with some couple people. There's a blue tape for you.
Yep.
It was insulting. I thought, man, you talk about looking and having zero respect for the president of the United States and the leader of the free world. Absolutely pathetic.
And what happened yesterday in Manhattan just was the icing on the cake. Now you see where we're at. And the world's looking at that and saying, what the fuck?
Todd, do you have any thoughts?
I'm embarrassed every time Biden takes the stage anywhere. I mean, when it's publicly broadcast, it's embarrassing that man is representing us as the leader of our country. You didn't have to I wish somebody would have taken Trump's Twitter account away from him when he took office. But if he'd kept his hands off Twitter, he'd have been a lot more likable president. But that said, the man got shit done. Yeah. And that's something Biden isn't getting anything done.
And he's getting everything they want done, the radical left.
I think but he's claiming all this stuff that they're doing for the economy and all this stuff they're doing for jobs, and none of it's true. It's all he just smoke and mirrors and saying what everybody wants to hear. Well, what the liberal side wants to hear, not the rest of us. But
I think we call them
with more than one IQ point.
And you brought up a point there, Todd. I want to touch on the Twitter thing. I think it made people like him a lot more in certain regards because he spoke his mind and had no filter. But I also think it scared people away. But I think it did better for him than it did bad for him. I think, if that makes sense, I think
I agree.
It was part of getting his message out and part of resonating with his audience and connecting. Because all the fake news that was going around, I really believe, as much as he said a lot of stupid shit and things that were unnecessary, I do think it helped him win the election. Just with the,
I agree, but I think he gave the other side a lot of ammo to use against him.
True. I mean, yeah, I agree.
Look, China gave us all the ammunition with COVID, and they destroyed the global economy. They gave us COVID and all the shutdowns and the radical left using that and taking advantage of it with the massive mail-in ballots and all of the corruption that was involved in that. Even if all the ballots were legit, even if they're all about what the hell kind of banana republic has millions of people mailing in ballots? I'm going to give you, they're all legit people, all real ballots. Banana republics do votes like that. Why don't next time we just get an app and let's just vote on our app? This is the craziness. China gave us COVID and our response to it was disastrous, and it sealed Trump's doom. Twitter or no Twitter?
Matthew, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, Rory, with regard to President Trump's use of Twitter, hands down, it was a great thing. Will continue to be a great thing. When he gets back on Twitter, and I guess he's trying to make a strategic move with this, he will regain the narrative. Twitter, as much as a cesspool as it can be, it still can get his message out. And I know we discussed it before. The important people we're looking at right now is the independents. Can Trump swing the independents in 2024? I believe he can with a full court press using Twitter. Twitter has been advantageous to him in the past, present, and certainly future.
Yeah, and we were talking about China, and Tony brought up China earlier, and so did Merk. You know, the balloon story scenario, we got an update on. They said China gathered a bunch of our information. This was like a day ago, and there were more reports today. You know, that's when the reports came out, today and yesterday. But we all remember the balloon. You know, it was like a month ago. It all happened and occurred. I still don't buy, though, China was behind this. I still think it was our government. I still think it was our surveillance program. And I'll continue to say that. I think that them blaming China is a distraction. You know, a lot of people agree with me. Some don't.
Like Alex Jones, maybe?
No.
It was tracked. The balloon was tracked when it left the Chinese mainland. They supposedly tracked it. Now, when the White House...
Yeah, but there's also several reports. And
come on, Rory. Come back to reality.
Let me finish. If people do their due diligence and their research, there's several reports of the U.S. having these same exact balloons flying over our country in the past several years. We just weren't aware of it, and we weren't talking about it because it wasn't being broadcasted everywhere. But all of a sudden, it gets broadcasted, and then China gets blamed for it. But these are
what about China and Xi Jinping saying
that our intelligence operation and our government has been using to spy on us?
Okay, let's come back to reality. So what would motivate China to put out a statement that it is a meteorological balloon that got off course?
It's the U.S. that put out this statement.
Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, you can create whatever fantasy you want, but the reality is it's a Chinese balloon. It was sent to use and to collect data. It did that. It circled around our military bases. We don't need to collect info on our military bases. I'm pretty sure the Pentagon already knows what goes on our military bases. Listen, if you want to maintain your credibility, you can't go off into crazy land.
Information and data and gather stuff about us, citizens of the
US. It circled military bases.
Was doing this. It was not China, dude.
Oh man, come on now. Okay, look, if you want to be credible, you cannot embrace just crazy ideas. It's crazy idea.
The U.S. has been spying on us and using surveillance.
Okay, so then it makes this another U.S. spying balloon.
Balloons for years. Go read the reports. Go read them.
Rory, if we go.
I've worked in government. I've done a lot. Chinese balloon. All right. Let's because if anybody listens to this and thinks we're all a bunch of crazies, I would never subscribe to the idea that this was a Chinese balloon. That is what I know to be true and believe. And they were spying on us and collecting military data. And I would never believe the nonsense that somehow it was a U.S. balloon spying on its people. Sorry, never going to go there. So for the record, I don't even come close to going there. As a matter of fact, I categorically condemn that theory.
Rory, the bigger question, without agreeing or disagreeing with you, is did the Biden regime let the Chinese balloon come over our country? Just had some kind of backroom agreement. Do whatever you want. Do CCP. Do whatever you want. You're paying my family off. You can do whatever the fuck you want to. That would be the bigger question.
No, bigger question is, are they even competent even to know what the hell's going on? I mean, did they find out too late? And then they're like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Now we can't. Now it's over. Now we can't shoot it down. I mean, this is the same administration that orchestrated the withdrawal in Afghanistan. And we all know what a colossal failure that was, how everything was ass backwards. Let's get rid of the base way over here outside the city, pull all our military troops out. And then we'll try to orchestrate this withdrawal.
Tony, what are your thoughts on all this?
Look, I think that we don't know anything that's really happening out there in today's world. What I do want to do is I want to change the topic a little bit. Today, Robert Kennedy Jr. announced that he's going to run for president. And I missed it, but what do you guys thought? Is this a sign that the Democratic Party is starting to splinter?
No,
kind of like the
he's
Republican
not
Party.
radical enough. He's not leftist enough. He's not.
He's about as profound and important as Asa Hutchinson is to entering the Republican race.
Okay. So here I found the article going back to 2019. Pentagon testing mass surveillance of balloons across the United States. Exclusive. The high-altitude balloons promise a cheap monitoring platform that could follow multiple cars and boats for extended periods. And these balloons can go extremely high. They look exactly the same as the ones that were in the air a month ago that supposedly China was behind.
Okay, all right, so we get it.
Go look at the Guardian's article.
The Guardian, there you go. Okay, so Mr. Conspiracy Theorist yourself, why do you never suspect?
Every other outlet too. I'm looking.
Why do you never suspect? Why would you never suspect that these crazy conspiracy theories are in and of itself a conspiracy to get people like you to believe that it was not China? Why do you never default to that? Hey, you know what? Maybe this article is bullshit.
I blame China for a lot of shit.
No, you're right. We do. But why do you not suspect these articles? Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Why do you not suspect these articles may be propaganda for you to believe it wasn't China? Why don't you default to that or even consider it as an option? You just take it. It's gospel. See right here. It's Google. Google it. It's got to be true because it's on Google.
Everything you hear, man.
I believe none of what I hear. I believe none of what I hear and half of what I see.
You think the United States are a bunch of saints and we're not terrorists and we don't invade other countries.
No, but I'm not a fucking douchebag lowlife that thinks that America's a terrorist nation. No, I'm not that. You're right, because I fought for America, and if you want to call me a terrorist, I will take you to the task like I would take anybody else did. Yeah, I flew bombers. Yeah, I flew in combat. Yeah, I fought against the enemy.
We act like the fucking world police. We invade all these other fucking countries.
Hey, I'll give you the same advice that I gave to MJ. Move to fucking Canada. Move to Canada. There's my advice. You're not far. Move to Canada.
No, you're missing the point, dude.
No, the point is, if we're this bad country, if we're the country you say we are, you ought to be hightailing. You ought to have a one-way ticket to Canada.
You shouldn't have been in the places you've been in because they got us into those wars.
Yeah, right. Okay. Coming from somebody who's never served in the military in his entire life and never had to possibly sacrifice his life for anything but himself.
Have you fucking brainwashed that war is?
Yeah, brainwashed. I've forgotten more out of my ball stack than you've ever known. Okay, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know. So I can tell you this: if you hate America, get a one-way ticket to Russia or Canada. You love Putin. You love Putin. Go live in Russia.
Period.
If you love Putin, go to Russia. Live there.
War is about money. Military-industrial complex.
Yeah, you know nothing about the military. Don't talk about things you know nothing about.
I know enough.
You know enough. You know enough that you could sit there at your table and smoke dope all day long because of people like me. All right? Do you know enough about that?
What are you talking about? I have several businesses. I've done fucking well.
Yeah, and because of people like me.
I sleep.
Because of people like me.
I work out.
Because of people like me.
I'm in perfect fucking shape. I'm not.
Yeah, that's perfect shape. I don't know. I would question that, but because of people like me.
Nothing wrong with weed. You need to smoke some fucking weed.
Yeah, that's fine. But because of people like me, actually fight for your freedom to have your businesses and smoke and all the rest of it. People like me.
Great. That's great. And I love veterans. I appreciate it.
Well, no, because 30 seconds ago you called me. Basically, I went to places I shouldn't go. Like I'm a part of this terrorist. We're a bunch of terrorists.
The politicians got you into dangerous wars you should have never been in. Absolutely.
Yeah, hindsight's always 2020.
No,
I didn't see you there combing through the data. All right. And oh, by the way, I'll just let you in on something because you all are so fucking clueless about Iraq. Okay, I was attached to the 82nd Airborne. We found thousands. Okay, stop. Be quiet so you can hear WMDs. Be quiet so you can understand the WMDs.
Rhino, he's a fucking hick redneck.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay, but I'm going to enlighten you because you all are ignorant of what I found with my own eyeballs. Okay, my own eyeballs. Thousands of mustard gas rounds and chemical weapons. Oh, no WMDs. Okay, I can release to you only what I can. Thousands of rounds. Also, tens of thousands of chemical warfare suits. You don't use that if you don't have chemical weapons. Also, oh, by the way, the aerial footage that up to the weeks prior to our invasion, where there was hundreds and hundreds of trucks crossing the Syrian-Iranian border. What they're filled with, I don't know, but more than likely WMDs. We found them. I saw them with my own eyes. So you all can believe the lies, no WMDs. Okay, I was there. I saw them and held them. So again, the masses in America have no idea. But I'll give you a little hint. Actually go there and do something with your life. And then you can actually pontificate and talk about the realities of what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've been there. I've done that. I know.
Hey, Brian Williams, I was there. Matthew, go ahead. Brian Williams, I was there.
Can we talk about one of your pet projects like Tom Cruise for president? This is enough. Check your fucking blood pressure.
Rick Mitchell, man. Jerry Maguire.
And why not arguing about this shit, man? What? We're all calmed down now. I mean, as I said, let's move on to a different subject. But
what do you think? What do you think?
Hey, if you can't be passionate about your country, then what can you be passionate about?
I'm very passionate. I love this country, but I think the people that run this country go against what our founding fathers wanted, and
fathers want.
Tony, go ahead.
Well,
our founding fathers want peace and prosperity, and they want.
No, they didn't. They wanted freedom.
Freedom, exactly. That's getting into war is not fucking freedom.
Fighting for your freedom ain't peace and prosperity. Fighting for your freedom is not peace.
The freedom of all these other citizens.
You said peace and prosperity. They wanted freedom. Freedom at any cost. Hey, remember the saying? Remember the flag? Give me liberty or give me death. Okay, remember that? That's not peace and prosperity. That's freedom first, and I'm willing to die for the freedom.
Any comments, Tony?
Tony, go ahead. Tony the Tiger.
Hey, I spent 26 years in the Army, so I can relate with the conversation. There's a lot of things that people don't know, that never seen, that we can never discuss in certain situations. But I think the founding fathers wanted us to be free, not to be slaves to any government entity. And I think when they developed, the Constitution, it was to give people the freedom in the states to do what they thought necessary to support the citizens of our nation, not the crap that we go through. There's too many politics involved. We've allowed the government to grow so much that we've lost reality, what really we're here about. I love the country. I got to tell you, I volunteered. I joined as a 19-year-old snot-nosed kid because I wanted to defend the country. And I joined for a selfish reason, just so you know where I'm coming from. I joined because of the hostage situation in 1980. I know you weren't around then, but that's what I joined because I wanted to be part of a difference. I spent my first tour at Checkpoint Charlie looking at East German and Russian soldiers every day. So I get why he's so adamant about our country and what we did to serve our country. And yeah, sometimes people don't appreciate that, but I didn't join and do what I did so people could appreciate me. I did it because that's what I wanted to do. That was my payment to have the freedom that I have today. Now, politicians that we've elected have taken that away from us. And it's our fault for electing these asswipes that we've elected. Whether we voted for them or not, we're responsible and we need to do something about it. We can argue all day about what's real and what's not real, but what's really real is we need to get people to follow through and defend the Constitution and get together and fight. And I'll give you guys a great example. There's a little police station in Los Angeles, Foothill Division, that they fired the captain for some dumbass reason. everybody in the division decided to stand up for this captain and go march in front of Monica Rodriguez's office. When we first started, we started with 50 people. By the time the third weekend came around, there was only 3 of us left standing, protesting the injustice, right? So that tells you what the American people really think. If it takes too much effort, they're not going to fight. They're just going to roll over because it doesn't affect them. So until we can get everybody to kumbaya, hold hands, or whatever you want to call it, to stand up for freedom, this shit is going to go down the toilet faster than we think.
Right. That's true. It's absolutely true. Todd, your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think a lot of stuff goes on in the country. Like when they talked about the Chinese balloons, about 2 years ago, I was involved in a project. We were looking at launching a weather balloon just as a science project at a local school here. And we started checking on it and found out that over 4,000 weather balloons or balloons like that are launched every day in the United States by weather services, meteorologists, schools, colleges, government agencies. And it's like, I personally think that all the media attention they gave it, I think a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. I think they were keeping the focus, everybody looking up at the sky, watching for the balloon, and they were up to other stuff and focusing on it. Because if the Chinese sent that balloon, and I'm not saying they did, I'm not saying they didn't, but if the Chinese sent that balloon across this country, if anybody in this country thinks it's the first time they did it, I'd call them an idiot. They need to pull their head out of the sand and look around. Because if the Chinese did it this time, this isn't the first time they've done it. And they mix them in with the other 4,000 legitimate balloons that are being launched every day, and nobody would have noticed. So the only reason the attention was called to it, in my opinion, was to take the attention and keep the attention off something else that was going on in the country that they didn't want the media focused on. So they pointed up in the sky and said, "Oh, look, it's a Chinese balloon." If it was, if it wasn't, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is they use it to distract.
I want to go into closing here. 2 things. Did anybody hear about a woman with a rifle reportedly entered Trump Tower in Chicago today?
Yes. Yes.
And did anybody hear what the outcome of that was?
No, the last thing I heard, she was still held up in a room. It was due to a domestic dispute, apparently with her husband. But she got all the way up to the 27th floor in Trump Tower. I don't know the outcome of it, though.
Jeez. And then there was another article out today, and every governor should be taking this action. Indiana governor signs bill banning all gender-affirming treatment for minors. Every governor should be taking that and signing that into place. Yes. I mean, this is, over. It's over. Overdue. So it's
good to see it, Rory. It's good to see some Republican governors are stepping up.
Who is the governor of Indiana? I don't even know who the fuck it is.
I don't know who it is either, but I did read about it.
Yeah, I don't even know who the fuck it is. I usually know who governors are.
I'm not at my computer. I could pull it up on representingme.com.
I don't even know who the governor is. Yeah, weird. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
No, but I do have thoughts about the balloon thing. I will say this as a pilot. Yes, those 4,000 balloons that are weather balloons, they're very small. They're all every single day. And they just send a very small transistor up into the sky, measure ceilings of various things. I've seen them throughout my 25, 30 years of flying. This is a very different balloon. It was the size of a giant couple like 3 buses, nothing like weather balloons, nothing at all like them. This was an intelligence gathering balloon. Yes, it probably was not the first one. I doubt it was the first one, but it doesn't matter. Fact is, it was one, and it collected data, and it was allowed to circle around our bases, and we just sat there and watched it.
Greg, it's weird that we have so many satellites that they could use. I know you're not supposed to use them domestically, but the U.S. has hundreds of satellites, thousands of them. You don't have to use balloons.
Well, it's very different.
Chinese, Russians.
Well, but see, the thing is like satellites are very difficult to maneuver. They take a long time, like minutes, maybe hours. You can't just like a satellite's over Earth. If you see the globe, satellite might be over here, and America's over there. So you can't just get a balloon. This balloon, you're able to manipulate and maneuver, and then let it circle and stay on station for as long as you wanted it. Sometimes satellites only get a glimpse, only for a moment, only for a couple of minutes or whatever. You can't just turn a satellite on, boom. So the balloons offer you the flexibility to get exactly where you want it for however long you want it. That's the danger.
The last thing I want to go into before we close out, there is another report out. Biden wants partial nuclear deal with Iran. Obama 2.0 scenario. Joe Biden is reportedly considering a partial nuclear deal with Iran under which it would keep near weapons grade uranium but stop short of refining it further in exchange for some sanction relief. Anybody have any thoughts on this before we go?
Of course.
We're just handing over our country. That's all we're doing.
What do the Israelis think about that?
This is an Obama throwback policy.
Exactly.
It's an Obama throwback policy. Obama was an anti-Semite to the core. Right. And make no mistake, the guy hated Jews. He grew up as a Muslim. He hates Jews. All right. So what he wanted to do?
I mean, a lot of people do. So
whatever. Okay. So good. So let's give Iran a nuclear weapon because you hate Jews and hate Israelis. Bottom line is he says anti-Semite, and his foreign policy was dangerous for the region. Oh, by the way, dangerous for us, because anybody that thinks that a nuclear-powered Iran is a good thing for stability in the region knows nothing about foreign policy or geopolitical threats. So he did that to provide a pathway for Iran to get nuclear weapons, because I guarantee you deep down inside, he loathes the fact that Israel is the only nuclear power. How dare them damn Jews be the only nuclear power? No, we're going to put Iran on the pathway. And what he then did is destabilize the whole region, because now not only is Iran going to pursue nuclear weapons, but so will Syria, so will Iraq, so will Saudi Arabia, so will every other country, because no way they're going to let Iran be the nuclear Muslim power in there. So what that does is a complete destabilization with the objective, the specific sole objective, because in Obama's mind, because he hates the Jews, he doesn't like that they have nuclear weapons. Let's balance it out. Why should those damn dirty Jews have nuclear weapons? Let's let the other countries have some nuclear weapons too. That's the agenda, and it's being revisited by the Biden administration.
You know what? Israel, they're the real terrorists.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody needs to wipe them off the face of the earth. The only argument I ever hear is...
Do you call yourself a Christian, or are you a Buddhist?
No. The only argument
are you a Muslim?
It's the Holy Land. It's the birthplace.
Are you a Muslim? I'm curious.
No, let me say my point here, and I have a good point here.
You sound like the Ayatollah.
The only argument, and I find this fascinating, the only argument I ever hear is it's the Holy Land. It's the birthplace of Jesus. Jesus ran for the fucking hills away from the Jews.
I don't know, man. I don't know where you get your religious dogma.
Part of Christianity. So if the only argument is that's the birthplace of Jesus, I don't want to ever hear anybody talk about.
Okay, well, let me enlighten you. That's not the only argument. Okay, so get out of your little
advantage of us. They're currency manipulators.
Let's go back to your statement. The only argument. That's not the only argument.
Are terrorists. They have taken advantage of America for the longest time. We give them more money than we give any other country, well, besides Ukraine. But
that's ignorance and lies. Ignorance and lies, not true.
Knows fucks in Israel who fuck these people. But go ahead. Your argument.
Okay, my argument is you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to Christian theology or Israel policy. You don't know. I thought it was my turn. Go ahead. The argument is not it's the Holy Land. Hello, that's not the argument.
That's always the fucking argument I fucking hear, and I'm sick of fucking hearing it.
Then I'm going to suggest that you get out of your pot room.
Lots of fucking places.
I'm going to enlighten you on the argument. I'm enlightening you on the argument.
Okay,
if that's the only argument you heard, let me give you the rest.
Big mouth, that fucking ugly ass bastard. You're going to say how great he is. What's the argument?
Okay, well, if you shut your mouth, open your ears, I'll give you the argument. Because you claim to be a Christian. I'm assuming you're a Christian.
Smack Netanyahu in the fucking face.
Okay, all right. Again, you're not closing your mouth, open your ears. You claim to be a Christian, and I'm going to encourage you to read Genesis because it says very specific.
What the fuck, man? Not 80%.
Well, you said the argument, and now you don't want to hear the argument. You said there's only one argument. I'm giving you another argument.
Dude, I don't want to hear it, man. I don't want to hear it, man.
Okay, then that makes you an ignorant person. That makes you ignorant, closed-minded. You know what? You elect Joe Biden. You can't handle the truth. You don't want to hear the truth because you can't handle it. That's not intellectual freedom. That's not intellectual freedom.
No,
you are a slave to your own stupidity.
I don't want to hear that shit. This is
you don't want to hear why Christians support Israel?
All you keep saying is Jews can do no wrong in so many ways.
Look, I never said that. Again, hey, you know what? Put down the marijuana stick. I will tell you, put down the marijuana stick and you'll actually hear what I'm saying. Put down the marijuana stick and maybe you'll hear and comprehend what I'm saying.
There's no fucking marijuana right here.
Yeah, well, apparently your brain is not functioning because I never said Jews can do whatever they want. I never said that.
You know what, dude? Come on, man. Like
I never said that.
Never said basically what you're saying in so many words. You're not saying
that. No, you can't comprehend my words. You can't comprehend them, let alone interpret them. Oh my God. Let me just say the words.
Israel, these fucking pussies, these babies. Who
okay, first of all, when it comes to being tough,
Israel is beta males. Fucking betas.
Okay, well, you know what? I don't know too many pot smokers that are not beta males either.
Palestine, take them out. Iran, take them out.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Here's my deal. Because obviously I'm dealing with a level of stupidity and ignorance that is beyond the pale.
They are beyond the pale. Manipulators. They are neocons. They have fucked so many people over for the longest time. They need to pay a price.
Yeah, okay, the only price that's going to be paid is you and your abject stupidity and absolute rejection of the truth, all right? The fact is, Christians love Israel because God said so. That's what they said.
Here we go again. Well, pretty much every Christian I've ever met is sick and tired of the Jewish shit and what they're getting away with.
Christians in name only.
Oh, and the victim mentality. Real Christians. The victim, the spineless persona and the mentality, and they're always.
Hey man, look, you can hate Israel to your own demise.
If you even fart around them, they'll claim anti-Semitism.
Whatever. Yeah, and I'm not going to look. My point is you have this perception of Israel, and I'm not saying that they do good things. You're saying that the argument is it's the Holy Land. All I'm telling you, that's not why Christians or why people support Israel. Because it's biblical. That's all I'm saying is open your mind. It's not because it's the Holy Land. No, that's got nothing to do with it.
Biblical. They're not an ally. They've never been an ally.
That's not the argument that I'm making, though. And that's not what you said. You didn't say because, people think they're our allies and they're not. Because then I would say, well, that might be part of it. You said because it's the Holy Land. And that's not why Christians love Israel. It's not why. They love Israel because, oh, by the way, God said.
Do you have thoughts on this Israel thing you wanted to chime in?
Well, I'm not talking about Israel, but I'm going back to Iran. And the problem with doing an arms deal with Iran is how do we trust them? Do you really think if they keep any plutonium, any uranium, that they're not going to go ahead and develop a weapon? And I'm not even concerned about them using it on Israel. What happens when they use it on Israel and then they decide to turn around and use it on Saudi Arabia and other countries in the region, and they're nuclear and we let them become nuclear?
And I'll tell you, and I want to say one more thing about Israel. Politicians and different media outlets, especially conservatives, and you guys can look this up. This is no knowledge. This is not, anything that's a secret. They have to sign a disclosure. They have to sign a form, and Matthew can talk about this, where they cannot say anything bad about Israel. And if they do, they get fired, they get demonized, they get canceled. This is known, and I find it hilarious. And it just goes to show everything Kanye says is true. Because
get your maneuvers from Kanye West.
Matthew, speak on this.
Okay, listen. Just a couple observations.
Hey, I got better things to do, like eat pizza. I would rather eat pizza than listen to this diatribe of bullshit and nonsense. So I'm going to go eat my pizza.
All right. Some observations, Rory, on what you've been saying. Okay. Yes, there's a lot of people in the United States and around the world that want to know why a small country, Israel, has so much influence in the United States. Why Israeli lobbying groups have so much power in Washington that it scares the shit out of the Republicans and the Democrats. Yeah, it's a legitimate question, Rory, you raise. A lot of people want to know why that is the case. And we should not be so beholden and everything. Let's face it. What if the Israelis get us into a shooting war with Iran? Or if they want us to help them out in some type of a military engagement and drag us into shit, okay? And there's a lot, of course, other speculation. We can talk about 9/11 and things like that. But Rory, you raised legitimate questions about that. Legitimate questions.
I'm just a little angry. I don't hate anyone. I'm not hating anybody. I just find it fascinating that this bill does exist, that you have to sign this form. Every independent commentator has talked about it on their channels or on their shows, which is why there's a large majority of them that won't go work for corporate because they don't want to have to suck up to something that they don't necessarily believe in,
Well, the good thing is TheNexGenUSA.com doesn't have to worry about that shit.
And why is it that it's that one country you're not allowed to talk about? It's that one country. And I'm not making this up. Anybody can look this up. I'm not trying to start any conspiracy or any lies. Look it up. It's real. It's out there. Just go look at, do your due diligence. It really, that really ticks me when I can't talk about something because it makes me want to talk about it even more. I'm that type of person. When you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it even more. When you tell me I can't say something, I want to say it even more. So it's like, I don't know. But
the mainstream media won't let what you just said, and the discussion we briefly had here, won't let that discussion happen on a national level. And yet you have to say, why is that the case? Why do we have to question that we have to throw so much assistance, military, economic? What lies behind that? What is so strategic about a tiny little country that it controls a lot of our foreign policy?
Newsmax, Fox News, every conservative channel, every single chance they get, they praise Israel.
Yes.
And you don't really hear any sort of praise for any other countries to that extent like they do with Israel. It's excessive. It's redundant. It's over and over.
Constructive criticism is not allowed of Israel. It's not allowed.
Right.
On the mainstream, anyway.
Right. Well, you know what I find funny and fascinating is that it's almost like the left has to take the narrative of the Palestine side and the Republicans have to take the Jewish side. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like part of their script. Like, one party is going to take pro-Israel, the other party is going to take pro-Palestine. Am I imagining this, or does it feel like that's what it's come to?
It's a legitimate evaluation of what you're saying. There obviously is some, over the years, Israeli and the Palestinian issues. If you talk to Palestinians, you're going to get a completely different view of Israelis. So you want to look at the whole picture. I want to know all avenues of what's happening, but not in this country. Though they will shut down any constructive criticism of looking at what's actually happening there in that region.
Tony, what are your thoughts?
It all boils down to money. And I definitely agree with you, Rory, on the left takes one side and the right takes another side. And that seems to be the natural thing to do in our country anymore, right? Everybody just goes to their corners and they don't want to come to terms with what's really happening. Or even, and I know I get criticized for always talking about we need to reach out regardless of your party lines and let's talk about what we all have in common and work on that versus what we all don't have in common. Because that's what, I'm not a far left crazy whack job. I don't believe in a lot of that shit, but I'm not a far right crazy fuck either where I believe all that crap either, right? Because there's crap on both sides. But until we get over ourselves and decide to, hey, let's talk about what's important to you. Okay, violence, CRT to the kids, trying to, groom our kids to do. We can all agree that most of us don't like that. So we need to focus on that and not the other stuff we can't manage and control, because that shit is all about money when it comes to Israel. It comes about money, and that's all it's about. So at the end of the day. So, everybody just wants to choose a side and they don't want to come to terms with what reality is. If you truly care about our country and our republic, then let's do the right thing and let's start helping each other instead of fighting each other.
The largest donor to the Republican Party was a guy named Sheldon Adelson. He's a Jewish guy, and he's all pro-Israel.
Well, they run Hollywood. The Jewish groups run Hollywood.
They do. It's known. It's
They
not a
run the
secret.
financial
And the
community.
Jewish people have even bragged about how much they own. There's a lot of articles in the past of journalists that are Jewish that are saying how much they love, how much they control Hollywood and all the different industries and the banks and, different jurisdictions. And, there's all different areas and fields. The doctor field, they pretty much conquer. The pharmaceutical. I could go on and on.
Yes.
What, Todd, you want to say something?
No, I was agreeing. You guys are right on. You take the emotion out of it, and the whole thing, it comes down to one thing: money. Everything that this government does is about money.
Yep.
I was in my my podcasts and my books and stuff, my public lectures. It's all about information: who has it, who controls it, and who can get it. And it's the same in politics. That is about money: who has it, who controls it, and who can get it. And that's what governments run on, that philosophy. It's money.
True. It's true.
Rory, can I make some observations of what's transpired tonight and some of the exchanges?
Yeah.
I think, and I know. Well, Greg will go over this. It's important to look at whatever country you live in, to be able to look at how your government's functioning, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Obviously, the United States has played a role in many, many countries around the world. Some have been good, but some have been really fucking bad. That is a fact. Nobody's questioning the services of the men and women in our Army and Navy and Air Force. No one's questioning their patriotism. It's the big scheme of things. It's what's happened in politics. And that's, sometimes I think it's difficult for people to separate that. I'm not going after their service. I commend you for your fucking service. But, the United States as a government, we've done some really fucked up things around the world. And you have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Look, in the defense of people that serve, I don't think most people that serve the military feel that way.
But I will say this real quick. We're so quick to call other countries, terrorists and, all these different names. But look at what the U.S. does on a regular basis. They get their noses involved in places that they have no business in. And they invade places that they have no business in. And they completely destroy countries, and they have no remorse. They have no sorrow. They go in there. And it's all about money. It's all about the military-industrial complex. And then they leave like savages. And these people have to suffer in these countries. It's disgusting. And you know what? I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I can only think of maybe one or two wars that have ever been justified in our entire history. Maybe one or two. But the others are all about the Benjamins, the money, like we've been talking about.
Look at
Bosnia is a prime example.
Look, we sent
Bill Clinton unleashed.
We've been sending troops to
Bill Clinton.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you were going to say something. Oh, but Todd, you want to say something? Go ahead, Todd.
Bill Clinton unleashed 2001 Tomahawk cruise missiles on Bosnia. The Bosnian conflict had been going on for 500 years, hundreds of years before we were even a nation. But a lot of people don't know this, but I knew somebody at the Pentagon at the time when we did it. And he told me, he said, you know what the irony is that no one will ever know? I said, what's that? And he said, last week, the Defense Department put on hold an order for 2,000 Tomahawk cruise missiles because we didn't have anywhere to store them. So 2 days later, instead of Boeing laying off 1,000 employees that built cruise missiles, a week later, Bill Clinton ordered the government to launch 2001 Tomahawk cruise missiles into Bosnia. We got in the middle of the Bosnian thing. As soon as we finished firing off 2001 cruise missiles, we were out of it. You never heard about Bosnia again. But the order was reinstated to Boeing for the missiles and replaced the ones that we launched.
Yeah.
And 1,000 Americans kept their jobs. Now, if that wasn't us going to war over money, nothing else is. That is the best example I can give.
Tony, you wanted to say something.
Well, I mean, again, you're absolutely right. Everything, war is there for a reason, right? I know a lot of countries fight over religion, but when the U.S. gets involved, it really has to do with the economy and money.
Yeah.
Except for World War II, I can't think of any war besides the Civil War that was worth fighting. So, it gets very emotional for people that have served their country. A lot of people take it personal. I understand why they do, because some of the missions that people have gone on and we've gone on, we can never discuss and say what happened and the reason it really happened. But at the end of the day, we're all right. It's all about money, the almighty dollar, whether it's the American dollar or the Chinese money we're going to end up using in the future. It's all about money at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's sad because a lot of innocent people suffer. Right.
Sure.
And if you've never been in a combat zone or been in a foreign country, a third world country, and see how those people live, you don't understand how lucky you are to live in the United States.
Amen.
Well,
Amen.
yeah. I may add, you have to remember the United States bombed Iraq back into the fucking Stone Age. Okay. All their documents, all their civic records, all their city records were obliterated. Now, what justified that? What justified a lot of lying by General Powell saying this was there, that was there, this was there? It didn't justify, just about leveling the city and how long we were there for 20 years. And like Tony said, it's money, money, money. And the people of Iraq suffered immensely for 2 decades. You can't say that was the fucking right thing to do.
Right.
No.
It's true. Guys, it's been a great show tonight. Matthew, tell everybody where they can find you.
Of course, you can find me here at the NexGenUSA.com network and, of course, on Twitter.
Tony, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at the Next Gen Live. I have a show every Wednesday night from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, it's the same. Tony Rodriguez for the Republic.
Todd, tell everybody where they can find you.
Other People's Secrets or Todd McNutt. I'm on all the social media platforms, and I'm right here on our network here. And we do a live podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we talk about privacy and
Sounds good. Well, it's been a great episode, great show. Another one in the books. We will see everybody tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I'm Rory Sauter. God bless. Much love.